Hello everyone and welcome to Octane Online Racing. I am Jamie Saxon. I need to make sure that you can hear my co-commentators. Mitch, are you there?
I think I'm here, Jamie. How are we?
I'm very, very well. I only got a couple of things wrong starting this up. One, had you muted. Two, had myself muted for like a half second, but I don't think anyone noticed. It's fine.
Oh, look, it could be worse. The stream could have died. Oh, I hope I haven't jinxed that now. Shit. Uh-oh.
No, I believe it's still alive. I'm watching myself, which is a disturbing prospect, I promise you. And for those who want to as well, actually, it's a good point. You see it in the YouTube chat here, but if you're not watching the chat, it's a live timing using the pitwall.live service. So you can see what I'm going to be having half an eye looking at this race coming up and the next one. A very nifty little timing service there. We are at Paul Ricard tonight. We've got two 60-minute races, so it splits red, which we're looking at now, if I remember correctly, and then blue afterwards. Have I got that right?
It's blue first, then
blue
red.
First. There you go. I try and make these mistakes on purpose, so that people kind of get familiar and have low expectations of me, but you know, it never really works. But no, it should be quite exciting. We saw quite a bit of action here last night. How did you go last night?
Look, might have taken a couple of people out and gotten some penalties. Still waiting on a post-race one, which I'm almost inevitably going to get. But P10 for now, probably going to get 11 or 12 with the post-race. But I was pretty happy with that. It's a tough track, especially in the Audi, but I was happy with the performance. I didn't quite see how you went. I saw you were up quite high at first before pitting, so I was happy with my performance.
Yeah, there's a tale to be told there, but let me tell you what does not help. And that is, if at the end of qualifying, and say you do okay at qualifying, I think I qualified about 20th, and I was reasonably okay with that. And then my game didn't work. So I brought up the menu to go back to the garage, and the menu determined that I would not make any selections, and therefore I had to restart the game, and I started from 40th. So that was a challenge, but I did make it into the top 10 by heavily overfueling the car, long enough to last about 47 minutes. Also not a great idea, and I can tell you that the tyres do start to die off in a very strong way.
Really?
When your tyres die off, and did you know this? If not, write it down. Much harder to brake in time for a corner, and theoretically, to avoid track limits. So, I had some challenges through my head, but that's okay.
Yeah, look, track limits, I only had one warning the whole race, which surprised me a lot. But I think we saw. Can't exactly remember off the top of my head. I dare say maybe 3 drivers got drive-throughs, 4 track warnings, which I think is pretty good because Ricard's a real challenging one and a bit of a. It differs a little bit with where the limits are because you've got those. I don't know what you call them, cones, we'll say on the outside of the track, which dictate the limit on most of the track. So if you just stay within them and don't hit them, you're not going to get a warning. But sometimes the game just says no, but only got 1 warning, so hopefully we don't see too many drive-thrus tonight.
I will say I saw a lot more drive-through penalties. I saw
But you know what's even more important?
What's that?
Braden's here.
Oh, yes. I thought he wasn't coming to
Guys.
I thought he was done with
Hi,
us.
Braden.
No, I'm here.
He's here.
I've had to pull back from the second split just because I have a super early wake up time, and in the past, I have been known to miss alarms and be late for work. And
Oh no.
yeah, I can't prioritize the second race over my well-being and my living.
your job.
That is the right decision, I think.
My livelihood.
Yeah, it's an important factor, it turns out. How are you doing? I saw you had a small bingle yesterday and not in the race. Is everything okay? Are you okay?
Funnily enough, I had a pretty much identical bingle in the race. Yeah, everyone's all right. So I was on a 2-lane road, so it's only 1 lane going each way. And then there's a T intersection. There's no slip lane, so when you're turning at that T intersection, you have to stop and wait for the people in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Me and the guy who was driving were turning, and there was obviously a guy coming up behind that wasn't looking. It must have been on his phone or something, and looked up, realized that there was traffic stopped in front of him. He swerved to try and dodge the traffic, nicked a car on the way through, T-boned us on the rear of the car, so like the right quarter panel is all destroyed. Yeah, we got spun around. I called out my number. Stewards didn't want a bar of it. Guy didn't get a penalty at all. But I suppose that's just real life, isn't it? So yeah, it was the cars are right off.
Right.
The cars are right off,
absolutely.
unfortunately, but everyone is okay. There was 4 cars involved. But yeah, everyone exchanged details, and the guy who did it admitted fault and has already put in his insurance claim, and it's all getting sorted out. So at least it's not super stressful. Sorting out another car for work is going to be a pain in the ass, but it could have gone a lot worse.
That's it. They say any accident you can walk away from is a good one, and as long as no one's hurt, that's what we've got insurance for. We can always get more things, but you can't bring people back. So, sorry to hear that there was an incident, but happy to hear that everyone's okay. And yes, I saw there was a few incidents. I heard your number getting called out over the comms. I see Baxter's in chat apologising to me for a bump. I'm not sure what he did to me, but how dare
He
you?
turned you into turn 3 and 4. We had a look at it. It's a tough one, but
Oh, was that? And was that when we were side by side?
yes.
Because I had a look at that and I wasn't sure if I'd pinched him or if I'd left him enough room. And
Wow.
I mean, I could see an argument enough way. I thought I'd left just about enough room, but he would have to be on the curbs.
Yeah.
And his line, I think, was taking him such that it was going to be very difficult for him to pull it up and turn it round. Which, you know, I mean, as part of door-to-door racing, you're trying to make it difficult for your opponent. You're not there to make it easy for them. But it didn't cost me that much. I think it cost him more than it cost me.
Yeah, it did.
So I hope it didn't compromise his race too much, because I enjoyed the little bit of a scrap. It just wanted to go sideways.
Got him a 10-second or something, but you know these things happen.
Oh,
The apology is nice. We love apologies,
Yeah.
even when everyone's all sweet and penalties have been dished out and stewards have sorted out.
Yeah.
A friendly word with the other party is always very nice, because people become friends that way. I've made a lot of friends in OOR through incidents that like we've apologized to each other for, and relationships are formed that way because you have a lot of respect for people that apologize, I suppose. So yeah, good on him for taking the time to message her and say, sorry man.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. But we are starting to get our lap times through. So it's a long old outlap here. So it's 6 minutes left in qualifying by the time the first laps are being set. But a couple of Ferraris already poking their nose up. Is that a sign of things to come? I hear that the new 488 is very strong with its current BOP at Paul Ricard, which was not the case with the old one, if I recall correctly. Really suffered from some high drag and didn't have the guts.
Yeah, I can't exactly recall what it was like last BOP. It was on the slower side round here, just in, excuse me, in general. But now it's got, I think it's one of the best top speeds. I think it's equal with the Nissan, maybe even quicker. I'm not exactly sure, but very stable, very good through the corners. So it's definitely going to be one to look out for tonight, as we already see 3 of them in the top 4. So definitely a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I think without a slipstream, the Ferrari's capable of hitting about 283 at the end of this straight. With a slipstream, maybe like 900 kilometers an hour, something like that.
Yeah, something.
If it's a Bentley in front of it, it's fine.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Give or take. And I think the BMW is very, very close to it in terms of race pace. As we see here, Blair 3/10 up. I tell you what, remind me during the break before the race, I have some serious controversy to bring up. The most serious kind, but just don't let me forget. But 4/10 for Blair, that's going to get him back up to about P2. But Gallo on his first, or P3, very, very tight there. You can see between the 3 Ferraris, 1/10 splits them. Let's jump back, get a view of who have we got here. This is Reynolds.
I was waiting for Chase Cam. You've gone from Bender Cam to Jamie Cam. Yeah, right.
Side of things to come.
Yeah. Wow, 53.8.
53.8. Brits behind. Actually, Brits is very early in his lap already, isn't he?
No, he's coming into the third sector, Jamie. Britt is someone who has come up from rookies. Very, very talented driver. Was very quick in rookies. So I think he'll be looking for a podium here this evening. Maybe even got the pace for a win on race fuel. I haven't seen what his times are like on race, but I know his quality times are quick. So he'll be looking to put himself up there. It's might actually get him P1.
Yeah, as he said, it's a 153.7 is the 10th off Ashton Reynolds. 3 out of the 4 top drivers in qualifying at the moment, all Ferraris.
Some big gains. I'm just chasing around. It's a big field, so there's a lot of people to try and catch, but I'm trying to chase some big lap improvers here. Bub now finding better part of half a second, pulling him into P15. I can see Adrian Ferguson is 7/8 up at the end of Sector 2 or thereabouts. With more time to be gained. McLaren as well, I understand, to be quite strong, particularly through this sector here.
Ferguson's going to find himself in the top 5 here if he can not turn the car off before the line.
Well, that would be advised. P5, very good lap, and he's got 2 more laps in it if he's got the fuel for it, but at least 1, so hopefully he can improve on that and just see if there's any other improvers.
Yeah, Ferguson last week had a buttload of pace behind him. He performed really well. He just had a little bit of bad luck throughout the race, and obviously the results didn't really reflect what kind of a driver he is. So yeah, M-class driver, but definitely one to watch.
Yeah, there's a few of that, and a reminder you can watch for yourself in terms of if you want to see the bigger timings with the bigger grid. Check out pitwall.live. There's a link in the pinned chat. I'll give you a good view of exactly what's going on. Yeah, we're seeing Jack Mackay here pulling out.
It's McKay, but yeah, go ahead. It's okay. He's one of my mates, so I've just got to correct you. He's 1.1 up. He's found a lot of pace this seat as he drifts. he has
wasn't
found
too bad,
pace
though.
in the Aston this season. Yeah, he's held it though. He's still second up. He's found a lot of pace in the Aston this season, coming from the Honda last season. He's very happy that he's in the Aston, and he should be, especially around a track. He's 1.2 up now. Let's see what he gets coming around the final. Goes wide on the apex. That's lost him 10.5 or so. This is going to put him up a fair way, though, I'd say. Yeah, P17. That's 7 positions gain there. Very good luck from him.
So we jump down to Honor, who's found the better part of half a second in the first sector alone now. Just dropping a tiny bit, and that's going to cost him more and more as it gets to the end of the lap. Doesn't look like there's a toe in sight. We've got a bonnet cam that looks a little bit too far away to pick up much of a gain.
But actually, while we're in this cam, I've just realised, look how low down to the ground the McLaren is, just from bonnet cam.
It's a bit of a pancake car, isn't it? You can see
it really is.
It is worth pointing out now, he came into the Mistral Straight with about 3/10 up. By the end of it, 1/10. So getting that exit is so critical, and being able to just hold the power. I mean, unless he had a much better toe on his previous hot lap, which I'd say I can see car 14 is off. And there we go, we are out of time. So anyone who's not on a lap will not get to finish a lap. They will not get to start a new one. If you're on a lap, you get to finish it. So the opposite of what I said. But, you know, we move on. So Honor holding on to his half second and gaining. There is a bit of a spice further up, though.
Ooh, that final corner catches a few people out. If you don't get the right exit, you know, he's lost to 10th and a little bit there. P11 for the moment, though. Britt, this could be a good lap. This is going to be a very good lap. It's going to put him on top, unless he manages to lose a 10th now, which is unlikely. What a time. I'm smelling a promotion coming here already.
You may be right.
Yeah, if you're going to get promoted, you want to get it done early in the season, so you know who you're gunning for. Because right now he'll be looking at those Pro-Am drivers and he'll be setting his targets. But if he gets upgraded to Pro, then all of those targets are going to go out the window and he's going to have to reassess. Yeah,
that's it. So seeing Phillips here, one of the last out on a hop lap with a good gain. Most drivers have been able to set some laps, but a couple have not. And I don't think they're going to be able to. Although Shaquille, I think, just got his in and popped into P34. So looks like he only got one flyer. Either way, Phillips, 2/10 gained, jumped him up to P14. And I think Sinakis has just come across the line, hasn't improved, so he's held his P8. And I think it's about time that I can go back to the full view and everyone can get a rundown of what it looks like, because I don't think there's going to be too much more change. Britt takes it P1 from McCourt by 6.5 hundredths.
That is incredibly tight, that midfield from about P9 onwards, all the way down to about P16, all separated by about a 10th.
Yeah, that's just insane. Just shows how competitive this split is. I thought split yellow was competitive, but this is going to give it a good run for its money this season. Look at those cars. There's 42, Jamie, if I'm correct.
I believe you are right, and I think that includes the safety. No, 44, including the safety car.
So there's 43 drivers out on track. That's got to be the best turnout I think we've had this season. So we do know that more drivers does not always equal good things around a track like Paul Ricard, especially with the first sector. Until you get onto the straight, it's tight, side-by-side racing all the way to that straight, and even on the straight with the slipstream. So the first couple of laps, I think we're all going to be out of breath.
Yeah, a lot of people in the second half of the grid are just going to kind of be putting through the first lap and a half or so, just to try and find position, find a bit of clear space. This Sector 1, Lap 1 is always an absolute disaster, particularly around this track with a lot of left and rights trying to leave room for the cars around you. At the same time, trying not to lose positions. So this track can be a bit of a disaster sometimes, but if the drivers are good enough, they'll keep it nice and clean.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, with this many cars and a bit of wheel-to-wheel is almost inevitable. And, you know, part of it is about learning what's the right way to do that. How do we approach that? We saw the difference as well, if you recall back to the finals.
Who hasn't hit drive? Who was that?
Someone.
Hemi Bateman.
Hemi Bateman from P21, unfortunately, will now start in P42.
Great decision. That's a safe start.
Look, I can promise you that it's not that safe. It's a bit of a gambling. But we saw, I was going to say, in the finals, we saw what it was like. Was it Imola in particular? The Pro-Ams really very scrappy. Lots of incidents. But the pros, really clean. And I think that's practice and experience of how to race well against other drivers.
Yeah, I think the mindset plays a big role of it as well. Like the Pro-Ams go in and they're all very, very hungry. They want a taste of victories, particularly around people similar to their pace. But then the pros go in and they obviously have that experience behind them, so they know where to take risks and where not to take risks. So yeah, obviously experience comes down to being able to make those quick decisions. You did quite well in the Pro-Am finals, didn't you, Hobbsy?
Yeah, I won.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's quite
Yeah,
well.
look, it is. Winning the overall prize. Look, that is pretty good. And I think if Britt doesn't get promoted, which I think, I'm smelling that promotion. He would just blow the field out. He would just beat them like there's no tomorrow. But I'm sure we'll see that promotion soon. I'll see myself out. But look, 3 Ferraris in the top 5. That's a sight to see. And I'm guessing off the start, it's going to be interesting. I'm not exactly sure what these cars are like off the start. I know the Merc's a bit sluggish. Nissan's the same because of its stupid gear ratios. But the Ferrari, pretty good off the start. So I think that Gallo and Blair might get the jump on Reynolds. And we'll just have to see what unfolds. Hopefully not a lot of carnage, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, hopefully Britt can hold it together as well. I'm sure the position that he's in, sitting on pole as a Pro-Am driver, is going to be quite nervous coming into this race start. Cold tyres at the start as well can be your biggest enemy. So yeah, hopefully he can hold it together through the first lap. Really, he's going to lose a lot of temperature in sector 2. He's just really got to keep his head screwed on.
For my controversy, while it's fresh in my mind and pertinent, the corner that they have just passed is falsely named Bendor. Because we know where the real Bendor is.
We know where the real Bender is.
Virage de Bendor is the name of that curve.
Just make sure we've got camera on Bender at the very end of the race.
Yeah.
See what antics he gets up to.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. And my French is not great. I must admit, in that I don't know any. But yeah, Virage de Bendor. So, view of Bender, I guess.
Well, I'd say it's something like that. But I think get underway here. I'm just going to steal the start from you both because why not?
Go for it.
Here we go. Waiting for the green. Green light. There it is. We're away now. That's a good start there from McCord. Actually, he's jumped Britt already. Nissan there. That's Madison just making it 3 wide with those 2 Ferraris. There's a lot of 3 wides here actually. Hopefully, 3 wide through turn 1. That's not advised as a McLaren round. I think that might have been Honor. Or was it Ferguson? It's Ferguson. Oh no, there's a tap. Oh dearie me. That's not too bad. We've seen worse. Don't know whether the safety car will be called. We are still racing here though. This is Jonathan Jeffries trying to go side by side with an Audi. McCourt now in the lead past Britt. Britt just didn't quite get the jump on that Merc. I must be mistaken. It must be quite good on the launch there, that Mercedes. They've got 2 Nissans behind Britt now. I think that must be Reynolds and Madison. I'm not sure which one's in front. I've got to assume, yep, it's Reynolds. And then they've got the 2 Ferraris behind. So fairly decently clean turns 1-2 compared to other splits, I dare say.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would have had a bit of a Code Brown moment turning into turn 1 and seeing a McLaren almost stationary. He did do well to keep the car pointing in a straight line. He didn't have any early collections, so I think there just would have been a couple of drivers that may have had to swerve off track to avoid. I think maybe a smaller incident towards the rear as well, coming into turn 3 and 4. But yeah, other than that, quite a clean start.
Yeah, I was just trying to find some reasonable camera angles. There's so much going on, and yet they're not getting a great view. But what has just occurred is that McCourt has lost his P1 that he'd managed to acquire back to Britt, and Reynolds is still holding on, but that gap opened up a little bit at the end of this trial. So we'll see. There's a couple of cars covering some damage. I saw in the background at those early incidents a BMW go smack head on into an Aston, both face to face, and that was unpleasant for them. But we end our first lap with Britt in the lead, and McCourt I think is going to challenge coming into turn 1.
He's late on the brakes, keeps it side by side.
That's so close. He had to sort of challenge there just to try and put that pressure on Britt now. But now Britt needs to just try and pull away and let Reynolds just put that pressure back on McCourt now. As we see he does. Late on the brakes. The Nissan does have pretty good brakes from what I've seen. Haven't driven it too much to be able to really give a good opinion on it. But as we see, Reynolds is really just using all of that Nissan power. Just hope he's going to get the slipstream on the Merc. Don't believe the Merc's top end speed here is too good. Nissan, from memory, is pretty good, so we may actually see... You see McCourt's already defending the inside, actually, as I say that. So Reynolds to the outside. Madison's going to follow too. The top speed of those Nissans is just unreal. You'd think that it's not, but just
that
look
is
at them.
absolutely deflating for McCourt. He does so much hard work through the first and the third sector. And he gets into the second sector, and all he has to do is hold his foot down, and he loses 2 positions. That is extremely deflating to happen to you. Put in the hard yards, and then the easiest part of the track, it's all gone.
I saw on Reynolds 284.5 was what he got before he had to slam on the brakes. And as we were saying, yeah, the Mercedes just does not have the guts down the Mistral Straight. Great in sectors 1 and 2, but with its BOP here, it does not perform the way you want. So very easy to get stuck in traffic, can't get past, and then instead you lose some positions pretty hard. Feels very much like the Porsche, I think, of previous seasons. It had much the same trouble. Its top speed down the straight, which I think is better now. And Philippa pointing out exactly what happens there. The more he fights in Sector 1, the more he's going to lose. Because that's where he's strong, but he's got to get ahead for Sector 2 so he doesn't lose even more along the way.
Yeah, look, I know the Merc, from what I've seen and read, is not the strongest car around here, but seen some pretty good performances. You know, McCourt qualifying P2, Paddy Oliver qualifying I dare say 6 last night. That was a very good effort. Or maybe he's a little bit further down. I can't exactly remember. It might have been P9, I think, in the end. But you wouldn't think that it was slow with these drivers. Didn't quite catch how it was in Split Green last night. I think it did have a fairly good showing too. But sometimes, you know, can't always have what we want. As we see the Bentley back there, that's Seneca's just having a trouble with the Bentley, as we know it's got, there's another word for it, absolutely horrendous top end speed here. It's tops at 2.7. I'm sure Philip will agree. 2.71 or 2 or something. It's so slow. Oh, there's a Merc round. Who's that? That's McCourt.
It looks like McCourt.
Oh no, what's happened there? Can we have a look at that? Let's just, I think we might have just lost the rear end, but I could be wrong. Let's just see, turned in too hard maybe. Yeah, just lost the rear end. That's usually something you'd see in the Audi.
Yeah, just trying to carry as many berries as he can, and he's just dropped all of his berries on the mid-corner, unfortunately.
Nearly took a Ferrari out, but it was a good save. I do agree with you there, Jozzy. That's... Oh, no. Just,
yeah, I didn't
talking.
I didn't get a great set of eyes on it. It looked like he'd left his braking just a touch too late as well. So maybe he's coming a bit too late, hit it a bit too hot. Good recovery. His tyres will be hurting, and he's got to carry them for probably another 25 minutes. Although he may want to consider a bit of an undercut, which is going to play in a fair bit here. So you can get about, from my experience, about 35 minutes on the tyres pretty fine, into the 40 minutes, and you're starting to really feel it.
Yeah, obviously an early pitch strategy from McCourt may pay dividends if he's so strong throughout Sector 1 mainly. He can try and find that undercut just purely through delta time rather than trying to fight people and then losing that position again on the straight. So if he gets himself some free air, which he will drive out into if he pits pretty soon, could eventually pay dividends if he can look after those tyres.
You can see here what he's going to have to do. I think we all know what's about to happen. So he's really pushed it. He's gotten a position past Thornton, coming in through St. Baum.
Yeah, it looks like.
Look,
I'm smelling an inside defence here. Oh, really? Oh, but the Jack's going to get past. Look at that.
Completely past.
That Merc is just so. There's no word for it, rubbish on the straights. And now he's got Honor behind him as well. Just going to put the pressure on him. That McLaren has very good straight line speed here. Again.
Oh, the court is around
tires.
again.
No, don't. Oh, that's the Aston. I think it's Lamb and Sassana. Just getting a bit of a brown flag moment there.
Yeah, I think last lap seems like a bit of an over abuse of track limits, possibly, and then that time round just then kind of seems like he was a little bit afraid of the track limits after what happened last lap, and that caught him out as well.
It felt like he broke earlier, at least from what I thought I saw previously. But those tyres will still be hurting from earlier. He's pushed them even more to get the overtake coming in before Mistral. Particularly that, what is that, left rear. Very the BMW getting very bullied out of the way, and I think that is a lapped car through incidents.
Yeah, it must have been a disaster of the start of the race if they're already being lapped this early in the race.
Yeah, no, and I think it is. I want to say it's Michael Manns. Yeah, the 840 is a Honda. So it'll be Shafali, I think. Jack McKay right down in 43 as well, so he's had some incidents. I'm just noticing that the pitwall.live app does say when there's an accident, so I'm trying to catch those and use that as an extra prompt. And there's been one, so we can see that Michael Manns has been in the wars a tiny bit. But, to be fair, not actually that many incidents coming through.
And to correct you, it's Scafely, not Shafali.
Scafely.
I thought it was Shafley.
Oh, it's Shafely, Scafely. I think it's actually Shafely, but you know.
It's getting harder when there was kind of 25 people or so in a list. Remember a bit. Now there's 40. I'm like, look, I'm just doing my best.
Like P4 is just almost impossible to pronounce. But Blaya?
McCourt felt very tentative that time coming into the end of the lap. Holds it through. Right, get one under your belt. He's definitely got the car in the pace. I assume that he's pulled a lot of rear wing out to get the car to even try and be competitive here. So it will be really hurting him, but some struggles. Either way, let's try and find a nice tight gap to focus in on. Maybe around here. Roll down here. Being chased by Van Vleet, I believe we
Van
were
Vleet.
informed last
Vleet.
Van Vleet.
Informed. He's another one of the rookies that has come up to Sprint Series this season. He's gone completely out of his comfort zone. He was driving the Merc in rookies, and now he's decided to go with the Porsche. So, interesting change for him, but looks like he's finding decent pace in at best lap. He's only a 56.1, but the Porsche is a tough one to make go fast around here. As Roldan goes wide, that's definitely going to be a warning. Just wait to see whether Vliet goes for the inside dive with those brakes. The Porsche, he does. Ooh, has to just get out of it a little bit just so he didn't get tapped round. And that's Ferguson in the background too. Just waiting for that opportunity. Probably get it on the straight if he gets a good exit.
I've been given the get off the chase cam.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're back to Bender cam now, watching this slipstream happen. That Honda, not the best on the straight here, as we can see the Porsche just only able to keep up with slipstream. So once he gets out of it, he tops out at 272 without slipstream. We can see on the dashboard there only 277 with slipstream. There's an Aston round there. Who's that?
It's a very good question. Matthew Lamb.
It's Matthew Lamb.
Let's have a bit of a look. Oh, he's gone in with the
Bit
Jag.
of a tap. Yeah, a bit of a tap there.
Yeah, look, that's what's going to happen when you put a Lamb up against the Jaguar. You're just leading the Lamb to the slaughter.
Oh, here we go.
How long have you been waiting for that, or is that off the cuff?
Oh, that's off the cuff, mate. I've said similar things to it before.
Yeah.
That's the spice that you bring.
Just trying to be a commentator. And all I hear is innuendos from commentators.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's about 80% of the job, I think. No, an interesting little tussle there. It was, what really surprised me a little bit was how little the Jag was settled by the touch versus how much the Aston was. So, because the Jag just kind of carried on as if nothing had happened. But something did happen. That is for sure. Let's maybe take a look down the order. Oh, we've got a couple
Is that
here.
Bender McNulty?
It is.
No way. Oh, you know what we've got to do? We've got to get on board with Bender and Bender Cam, surely. Yeah.
This is
what Bender
How
says.
can you look at that?
You can't, I don't know.
It looks like an upside down stingray.
Yeah, look.
I feel like I'm looking up someone's nostril.
Yeah.
Like a clown's nostril, right? It's bright red.
Yeah. It's like Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer. That's probably what his nostril looks like.
Yeah, I guess
On board
so.
with Ronald McDonald here. Ronald,
Yeah.
Ronald McNulty.
Ronald McNulty, here he is.
He is the only one to have both a corner and an apex named after him, though.
He
So,
is.
and they're on two slightly different points.
Yeah, they are.
So I need to if someone in chat can translate what Virage de Bendor means, BNDOR, maybe that'll give us a clue. So you see here, he's trying to get a half run on Sharp, but that's not going to work for him. He misses his apex, by about 50 metres. Everyone else's, he actually hits pretty neatly.
Okay, I've just done a quick translation. Virage Bendor means bender bend. According to Google Translate. I don't know if any French people in here can correct me that that's probably wrong.
Well,
It doesn't sound quite right, but you know.
he's just gone through Virage de Bendor. And continues on his way. Bit of a tidy lap, though. It's just... I mean, it's one of the other cars that he could actually overtake, purely based on the ability of the car itself to get it going. He's coming in very close to Sharp at the end of this lap, and maybe a move on the cards. He's gotten a slightly better exit out of the final turn. He's going to position himself for the inside.
Oh, here we go. This is a more correct translation. It's bender bend, not bend bender. It's bender bend.
This doesn't sound right.
Well, yeah, fair. It probably isn't right, but I guess it's bender bend now.
Bender bend.
It's, yeah, well, bender in French means bender.
I mean, Google Translate, bend or bend. It feels like it's not translating the bend or... I don't know. There might be a story behind that corner. I'm sure there is at a track like that. Bendor is likely a name. Is the nickname of the second Duke of Westminster.
Second Duke of Westminster.
Is that
Right.
actual... Is that a Bender fact or is that a real fact?
I was going to say, yeah, is that a Mullock fact?
Well, it's a Bendor fact. One way or
Yeah,
another.
it is.
Sounds like something Bender would, Mullock would pull out of his ass.
There is
Oh, it's just
two...
facts, apparently.
There's two overtaking moves going on here. And I can see
There is.
one is Lewis on Mitchell, which he has gotten done. The other is Nichols on Robert Shaw. And Robert Shaw has gotten that one done as well. So, some tidy little moves there.
Was that an Audi on the dive? That's Nichols.
Just lost the position to
a little bit
Desai.
back there. Yeah, Desai's gotten through. Nichols just in the back there, and that Jag just tucked in behind Robert Shaw. This is as Jamie would like to call it, a gaggle of cars.
I don't think Gaggle's my term. That's someone else's.
Is that someone else's? You like to call it a debacle.
I like debacle.
You do.
You know what I do love here though, and we'll see it now, is how much you can notice the cars behind dip into the braking zone. Right, like
Here
you
we
can
go.
see the
We've-
view as
we've-
the car's nose drops down, and I actually quite like
Yeah.
that.
We're being told that virage is turn in French, but in translate it changes it to bend. That makes sense.
We'll take it. We'll accept it.
It probably translates to bendy turn, I'd say, or something like that.
Well, if it is,
Aston round, is that a tap from Nickel and a Bentley and a death?
Oh, there is a few cars involved in that incident.
Yeah,
A
that's,
lot of
let's have a
cars
look at
going
that
wide as
again.
well.
Let's have a quick analysis here. So we've got a long way back. I thought it was about to happen here. So I'd say the Jags tapped the Aston. That's Nichols, and then the McLaren's tapped Lewis, and is that Bender that's just tapped his teammate?
I think so.
That's yeah, it's just three rear endings there. So
Just a small
Not
tap
the
turns into a
greatest
big
thing.
incident. It's one of those things where through those turns, the rear end of the car is very lightly loaded, so any kind of tap will really send it wide. So you can see Gutierrez there having a bit of a look at Robert Shaw. Has to back right out, and that does cost him a fair bit of time. So move a touch back up the order though, and have a look at what's going on here with Blair under attack by Gallo. Their last lap, about 2/10 separated them. It's very, very tight stuff. Blair will not be getting a tow from Madison ahead. Gallo will be getting a tow from Blair. And BOP aside, I think the 488 still really appreciates a tow quite a lot. Doesn't tend to run particularly high rake because it's very, very sensitive to it. So anything that helps it out aerodynamically makes a big difference. The old chassis, absolutely. With the old non-Evo.
The old 488, yeah, gotcha. But yeah, just look at the slipstream that Gallo's getting. He's going to be getting up into the low 290s with the 280s. Sorry, that's quick.
284, and he had to lift.
284, yeah. So I'd say if he was a bit further behind, you could probably maybe get to 290 if you're careful. I'd say maybe even high 280s, but just shows that this car's top speed here is just disgusting, and I'm sure these two will be taking full advantage of that. Just see, this is a very deceptive corner, because if you get the line wrong, you can lose 4 or 5 tenths just on the braking point alone. Doing very well. This is the first time I think this season we've seen two manufacturers, with 2 cars in a row. Still those 3 Ferraris in the top 5, which is good to see.
Yeah, Britt's doing really well as well, still holding that P1 position. He's broken out a 2-second gap to Reynolds behind as well. So the hard work is done for him. Now it comes down to the other form of hard work, which is keep it consistent.
Well, what's consistency? What's that?
Well, at my level, I don't know.
Yeah.
But the consistency, as I've found, is spinning around. So
yeah,
I can constantly spin.
So you know he needs to be careful, does Britt? So because he drops, I want to say about 8 tenths back into a Reynolds waiting arms on the previous lap. So Reynolds doing a 154.6, Britt's with a 155.3. So makes a difference.
We see the first penalties coming in there. Dave Thornton's picked himself up a 15-second penalty. Not quite sure what that's for. That might have been with the tap on Lamb, I would dare say. So just have to wait and see if there's other penalties handed out. There's definitely going to be some for those taps around turn 8 or 7 or 6 or whatever that tight right hand, 90-degree right-hander is in sector 1. But just consistency, as you said, Braden. If you're a top driver, consistency is nothing. But if you are in the midfield or bottom of the midfield, if you can just keep that consistency, if you did a 55.5 in quali, and yet in the race you might be doing consistent 56.8. That is, that's pretty good, I'd say, for the midfield. But if you can keep that consistent, you're going to gain a lot of positions over the span of the race, which is...
Yeah, because it takes a quicker driver that's setting low 55s one spin to lose about 15 to 20 seconds on their spin, waiting to rejoin and all that kind of nonsense. And then the lost time from destroyed tyres. It's just little things like that will obviously pay you back in the end just by keeping it consistent.
Yeah, that's right. No, I noticed in the Audi last night, don't know if it was the same, if anyone else in chat can agree, that the tyres for some reason went for a couple of laps, I dare say about 3 laps, and then just came back really strong for the last bit of the stint, which I thought was a bit interesting. I don't know, it's probably just an Audi thing, to be honest with you. There we go, Cam just telling us the incidents there for Thornton was on lap 1, turn 1. I think that was that incident with the Aston and Honda and... no, it was Ferguson, sorry, that's right. And Ferguson and those couple of cars being spun around to turn 1 and 2, so that's his penalty. He's gone into the pits early now. It's only been, 23 minutes into the race, just under. So we'll start to see a couple of people possibly going for the undercut on their rivals here. It'll be interesting to see what Scott Blair does Now he's catching Reynolds. Madison's gotten past Reynolds. How's that happened? I've just seen it. When?
Yeah, must have just missed it to invest it on the Gallo and Blair battle.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was just trying to fix the race control. Someone
okay,
remind me later that I got to tell Mullock that I just broke something trying to fix it. Well,
Oh, nice.
I fixed it,
Well done.
but it's going to be broken for him. Anyway, I'm not sure. I'm sorry.
But
We could
that's
find some
okay,
fresh
but-
action here.
Yeah, but it's good for Britt though, because he's got a 4-second gap to Madison. Just try and pull that out now. Maybe go as long as he can before he needs to pit. But at the moment, Vanderlei is just on the back of my mate Sean Bubnow, and Bubnow's got his teammate behind him, Ferguson. Oh, so close to the rear end there. I think Bubnow just needs Ferguson to put all that pressure on Vanderlei. We do know from previous seasons that Vanderlei is a very good driver, has very good racecraft, very clean usually. So we'll be looking to see how he attacks. Ooh, goes deep, Ferguson. Bubnow might go side by side with Vanderlei coming down into turns 3 and 4 or whatever this is, 5 and 6, because apparently kinks count as corners on this track. So Vanderlei gets past from the outside. I think Bubnow may have let him through there. I think that's a smart decision. Just needs to use that toe just to get away from Roland, who's just popped up in the rearview mirror of Ferguson here.
It's almost one of those moments where you kind of don't want to make the overtake just before Mistral because you want the toe and then secure it at the end. But that is not to be for Vanderlei, so he may have to defend. We'll go and jump in helicam. Looks like the gap might be wide enough. Porsche might have the legs now, although we did see earlier it capped out pretty hard at 277.
It does. That's with slipstream too. Philippa was saying in chat earlier that it tops out 272 with no slipstream. The McLaren certainly doesn't. I do believe it gets up to about 279, I dare say, without slipstream. Oh, no!
We see him lose it. Just a bit of a
Oh,
snap
that's
oversteer
snap
mid-corner.
That's tough. Might get a quick replay on that. Just comes round, goes left, goes right, and dead.
Yeah, just a bit of a nod to the team name for that Porsche.
Yeah, good old tank slappers. Unfortunate there. Vanderlei was doing so well. He's just gotten past Bubnow. Put all the pressure on him, and just sometimes things don't go our way.
So we are going to see a lot of cars coming into the pits now. We're going to see a big shuffle of the grid as we just move on to Jeffries, who's making his pit stop at the moment. A few cars, around 10 cars have already made their pit stop. A few guys still needing to go through. Zachary James with the drive-through as well, pretty early on in the race. I dare say that'll be for track limits. Art Vanderlei in the pits.
Wow.
He's going to get rid of those destroyed tyres.
Oh, there we go. I've just seen all those penalties being handed out now. Oh, Bender McNulty's copped himself a 15 for that tap on his teammate.
Oh,
And Lewis copped 15 for the tap on
And
there's a missing round there.
that-
What's that about?
Missing the wrong part of the track.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
I'm pretty sure I just saw a big old hit. This is Jeff Sharp, I think, is the Mercedes behind. No. Oh,
that's why the
no.
Nissan was there. No.
How has that happened? And you remember the Paul
Yeah,
Ricard
that's-
pit entry.
That looks like it's going to be a pretty hard penalty. That is pit lane entry. You cannot be racing in the pit lane entry.
Yes, I think it's Jeff Sharp. He's almost certainly going to cop a big penalty for that one.
Yep.
You get that kind of driving thing of I'm trying to follow the car behind, but sometimes it really makes sense if you've got an indicator set up on your wheel just to make sure that you're making it clear to the car behind that I am indeed coming into the pits here. Just, it's a bit dangerous. The exit is pretty dicey as well, so it's a tough one. Bender's going to have a run on the inside of Sharp here. Looks like he's got it as long as he can hold it, and he cannot. Oh, Robert Shaw behind. Collects the back of him.
It's going sour for a few drivers at the moment. I think car 26 has spun around pretty much at the same spot of the track where we are at the moment and instantly teleported to pits. So that may have been a bit of a nasty one as well.
There's some horror moments. I mean, it is a tricky one. The end of Mistral, it's very easy to over rotate the car. I did a big old drift in the race and somehow held it together.
Fully sick drift.
Yeah, it was dicey. It was pretty close to just parallel, and somehow the car pulled back around. And I won't say it's due to driver skill. Thraga saying the Merc is cursed. At this track, you are probably very accurate. It is well below the pale, I would say. It's BOP here, not strong, but remembering that the BOP is for the whole season. And it does balance out. And it is what
Has
it is.
Britt lost a position to Sasana? Oh no, sorry, the timesheet's just hadn't updated.
He's pit.
Yeah, but Sasana had pitted as well, and he was ahead on the timesheets. Got very worried then. What have we missed? Where did Sasana come from?
Yeah, it's just one of those surprise things.
BMW of Darwin getting very close to the Honda of Roldan. Obviously checked up a little bit coming into the corner. Wasn't expecting the Honda to be braking it as early as what he needs to.
That's it. As we see P4, P5, Bruno Gallo and Oliver Kitching both heading into the pits. So Kitching came in second and a half behind. Definitely possible to jump that in the pits if you can hit your marks a little bit better. As we see, there it looks like, yeah, rolled in. Had enough of that set of tyres. He'll get in and get that changed. Pretty much on the halfway mark.
And maybe looking for a little bit of an overcut here.
That's it. Let's go try and find this old chestnut of a battle. Gutierrez. He's got Honor right behind him. But Michael Mann's even closer in front of him.
Yeah, won't cause much of an issue for Honda though, because Mans does need to pit, and there he goes. So now looks like Gutierrez.
Oh.
No, yeah, that's Gutierrez behind. Still needs to pit, and Scott Blair's got to drive through.
He does. Must be a track limits, because I don't think it's a race penalty. That hurts a bit. He's having such a good qualifying. Sorry, go ahead.
As you say, consistency is quite easy, but there's drivers as good as Blair out there that will abuse those track limits a little too much, and it bites them in the ass.
You've really got to judge the amount. I think I mentioned last week I usually get very few track limit penalties, and that's really because I'm not exploring the edge of the track limits well enough. I'm not finding how much more extra room there is, and I need to be a bit more aggressive with that. But it is definitely possible to go the wrong way, and it's very easy to get caught out. As you get long in your stits, your tyres start to wear. You can just push those limits a little bit more than what you intended to, and all of a sudden you've got a warning. And it's not kind of like the real life where we can get away with things a little bit more. This seems obviously very strict about it.
So Mia Rose in the chat saying, fun fact, was on 3 track limit warnings for the last 3 quarters of the race last night. That's very nerve-wracking. I usually hit 2 and that's my cutoff. And then I start driving like a grandma.
Yeah, once you get onto that 3rd, it's all systems red, code red. But sure, there's definitely some drivers on the track at the moment that are, on their 3rd warning, or just having got some, maybe the past couple of laps being on the fresher tyres and just having to get them warm. So I think they'll start to be more alert now.
We just see
Hemi
Baton has also just picked up a drive-through as well. That's Paul Ricard for you. There's a lot of drivers that are going to be picking up drive-throughs around here among all splits, among all regions. Paul Ricard can be one hell of a ice cold-hearted witch when it comes to track limits.
Yeah, that's it. Now, I did mention, I think, that Gallo came in a second and a half ahead of Kitching. If I've got that right, when they pitted in.
Yeah, that's.
And now I'm seeing Kitching ahead.
Yeah, look, it's an interesting one. That's Madison. I think that they've just all gotten past. Maybe. Could be wrong, unless there's another Nissan ahead.
No, that is...
Never mind, it's a lapped Nissan, but Madison now, it's got a bit of pressure on him. Looks like Kitching's only... Whoa. It says 2.6. I don't know if I quite agree with that. He does look a little closer than that, but I'm sure it's about to tell us otherwise. We just see that Ferrari top speed really coming in to help now. Kitching looking, moving across the inside. It's well defended. Whether he actually can keep the position, though, that's another thing in itself. And, nearly a tap there. That is definitely got potential for a disaster. I think Blair's going to try and get past, but it's not going to matter, though, because he's got to serve that drive-through. But Gallo does get past now, and now he's going to be on the hunt for Madison.
Yeah, Gallo really showing how big his kahunas are coming through that fast right-hander, not on the grippy stuff, and just holding it together, leaving the space, doing everything right. He ran a little bit wide, but he got the job done in the end.
It's a very tight one as well. Very tempting, or at least maybe it was tempting for me once, to coming into a turn after. So you're coming into what is Signes at the end of the Mistral Straight, and then the next turn is Droit de Basso to try and kind of pinch the driver who's run quite wide, because you go well outside of the white lines. The game allows it. You're allowed a lot more as long as you get back in before the track limit morning markers. You can try and pinch a driver on the outside and say, I'm not going to let you back in on the track. Let me tell you what happens though. They come in anyway, whether or not you're there or not. So it's not usually a too wise a decision, but
No.
you could try the argument that, well, mate, you're outside the track, I'm in.
I think sportsmanship says maybe give them the room to get back on, and I suppose common sense maybe says let them back onto the track as well, because they are going to keep it planted. And if you're in the way, could be an incident. You don't want to be involved with that just for being a stubborn asshole, Jamie.
They've got all the room they want. They just have to brake and actually stay inside the track limits. That's just what I'm saying. It didn't work, and I did get a penalty, and I probably shouldn't have done it. But still, doesn't mean I can't be argumentative.
Kitching just got a bit of speed on the Ferrari then, but as he pulled out of the slipstream, Ferrari was able to topple him. Kitching was looking for another move on the outside to maybe turn those tables, but unfortunately the tables will remain exactly where they are.
Yes, no, tables turn this time.
Well, as we see, Scott Blair has just served his drive-throughs, come out in P15. That's going to be a massive kick in the guts for him. He was up in the top 10. Probably fighting for that P5 position if he had gotten past Kitching, which I reckon he may have. As we see now, excuse me, Reynolds has come out in front of Madison from the pits. So Madison was, I dare say, 1.5 seconds ahead when he pit. Now he's 2.5 behind, so it's a bit of a tough one to take. Britt is 4.5 ahead of Reynolds with just under 25 minutes to go now. Ferguson still needs to pit. Be interesting to see what the gap from Ferguson to Britt is and whether it's going to make a huge difference.
We're getting the inside tip that Sean Madison stuffs up his stop, and that's what's really cost him.
Oh yeah, that's a tough one. I've done it before. I think we've all done it. It's not a good feeling, but you've just got to move on, keep consistent, keep going.
Kitching looks like he got a pretty good exit, got on the power nice and early, car didn't over-rotate on him, and you can see it already paying dividends.
What a run. This is going to be good, but that Lambo is eventually going to top out towards the end of the straight, and the Ferrari's just going to walk away, I reckon. Let's just wait and see, though.
Might be seeing 2 slipstreams from that Lamborghini. 2 opportunities to slipstream behind that Ferrari. Yeah, this Ferrari just pulls away. Lamborghini was just to pull in behind and take that race line.
And that's just without slipstream too. If that was with slipstream for the Ferrari, that Lambo would be in a world of pain.
Yeah, it's almost, you feel like Kitching, he almost got the corner proceeding just a little bit too right, because if he could have tucked in and dragged himself up, gotten about halfway up the straight and then made the move, then he might have had something on. But as it stood, he couldn't take advantage of any slipstream at all, and it cost him. hard to do though. Sometimes you have to lift a little bit more than what you want to and judge the car ahead, because I think Gallo probably didn't quite get the exit that he was looking for, which is why we saw Kitching catch up on him so quickly.
Yeah, absolutely right. Kitching doing his best though. She's got Sneakers behind though. Bentley is pretty horrendous on the straight, so won't be too concerned about the Bentley on the straight. It's more coming through the first and final sectors where Kitching's going to struggle in comparison to that Bentley, so he's really going to have to nail the exit out onto the straight just to keep Sneakers behind.
Yeah, just Alex in chat saying surely came out of the slipstream too early. I don't think there was the right time to come out of that slipstream. The only time to come out of that slipstream was to avoid running into the back of the Ferrari. I feel like the Ferrari was going to be dominant towards the end anyway. Wouldn't mind seeing what the Ferrari's pulling at the end of the straight without the slipstream. Might be getting a touch of a tow with the car just ahead, which might just be a blue flag. Yeah, just ticked over to $2.80 at the last second. Don't mind if I do. Go buy yourself a sausage roll, my friends.
Just realised I had my mic muted while I ate a donut, so you could hear me, but everyone else
for a
couldn't.
sausage roll. Well, that's not Melbourne prices, Brayden. Oh, I thought that was a diver. It's a black car. Well, I got excited there, and then I was like, nah, don't.
So this is a good old back and forth that we're seeing here. Just worried we're tunnel visioning it too much if we're missing some other excitement, but it feels like on an edge. If Kitching can get the run, get the tow.
Well, you are missing something. Go down to P19. Bubnow and Darwin are in a battle at the moment. Oh, there's a couple of cars ahead as well. It's a lapped Nissan again. That's Roldan ahead of Bubnow. Oh, that Nissan's just blocked the Beamer there of Darwin. Just hoping he can get past now, and he does. Nissan lets him past. And now he's going to be on the hunt for Bubnow, and then eventually Roldan. Lamb ahead does have that 15 seconds, so they're all technically up a position at the moment.
So we'll just be looking to really stay with him. I felt like the BMW wasn't the finest in sectors 1 and 3. Maybe it was the driver in my case. But sector 2, an absolute monster.
Yeah, it's very good on the straights, the Beamer, so we'll look to see later on. I think Washington's in the next split, so wait to see what his times are, just to get an idea of whether Jamie can't drive the BMW or whether the BMW does have an issue around here.
There's a lot of us in the BMW. A lot of us in the BMW that don't know how to drive the BMW.
Yeah, well, that was your choice when you made your your decisions in the sign-ups.
Correction, it was my third choice, but that's fine. I'll roll with it.
Yeah, that's all right.
I think
the car feels really, really nice though. But I get to the end of the lap, I'm like, wow, that's a second to a second and a half off my usual pace. I can't drive this car.
Yeah, I actually found it reasonably good for me, but good for me is not good for. Yeah.
We got Cam in the chat there saying that car 326, that's Sharp, has received a drive-through penalty for the pit lane hit that we saw earlier, and just mentioning that the race control bot appears to be on the drink, so that's why they're not coming through for us. At least that's Cam's theory. Cam's usually right though, so we'll go with that.
I'll try and give it a kick and see if it starts to play nicely again. My test message worked at least, but we'll see.
Continues to break it further.
I mean, I try one break at a time.
Yeah, of course.
As you see there, looks like a lap BMW just trying to get wide and get out of the way. Continue on our way with these guys. Let's have a look here. So we haven't seen much of McCourt since his earlier bit of an incident, but I thought he had a tighter gap, but no, it's some lapped cars. Maybe he can get a tow off the BMW ahead, and that'll help him in his catch back up. But he has gotten himself back up into P9. He was about P12 after a couple of incidents, so regaining some ground. So hope to see him continuing to push that a bit further. Let's have a look a little bit further down the order. Got Hemi Bateman just taking a position there. I think that was off McNulty. So Hemi Bateman did not get his drive button hit in time, so he did start from the pit lane. It's a big old P42 and then some recovery drive. He's gotten himself back up into P35, working his way through the field.
Yeah, unfortunately not quite close enough to capitalise on any of those penalties up ahead. There is quite a large margin between Robert Shaw and James.
That's it. Here we're seeing Ferguson. He's just getting through a bit of traffic, but Lamb is right behind him as well. We go on board with Lamb and have a look from his perspective as he continues his pursuit. So I feel like that gap, I was just flicking through the timing things, I think the blue flag car might have helped Lamb a tiny bit in catching back up. Obviously, he's got a lot of pace. We saw that some incidents earlier that cost him a bit of time, but he's got the gap reasonably tight. Last lap between him and Ferguson was actually 0.2 slower than Ferguson in the last one, so traffic reasonably equal then. A little bit hesitant. Wonder if...
Yeah, Lamb trying really hard just to try and keep it inside the track limits there. That exit of turn 2 can be really painful.
Yeah, for those unfamiliar, there's some track limit warning markers, and we'll see one actually as we come up to the Mistral Straight. So just keep an eye here. So the right hand side of the track, because you can sometimes run quite wide. And just about now there's a couple of little warning flags, and those are your visual indicators that if you go any wider past that point that you will cop a track limits penalty. And there's a few of those around, and that's really what the drivers will be looking for.
We're getting word in chat, Sean Madison with a drive-through.
He does have a drive-through, and he's serving it immediately as well, so that'll be for track limits.
Well, that's good. He gets a chance to stretch his arms, make himself a cup of tea.
I'm sure it's not what he wanted, but you've got to...
Oh, look, it's like the cost of the
wins,
podium plus a few other positions. You'd hope it'd be a good cup of tea. Like Earl Grey or something.
Oh, a nice Earl Grey is premium, that's for sure. So we see Jeffries here has gotten himself ahead of McCourt in the last lap. McCourt, I think, is going to struggle to regain that position we've seen. And now we'll actually get a really good view of Madison. Let's get a bit of a cockpit view of him. See how much he can close up this gap ahead. So he's got a couple of drivers battling it out. If I've got that right, that is Jeffries and McCourt just ahead of him. It's the timing, there we go, timing updates as they cross the end of Sector 1. So the scrap is bringing them into it, and then the fact that the Merc is just not that strong in the straight, going to hurt him, going to hurt them. Madison's tyres will be a little bit cold, so he will have to take a little bit of care at the end of Mistral, but could be a move here. If not, then next lap for sure.
But more importantly, Mullock wants to know what you're eating, Jamie.
I'm trying to mute between hands, but then we get these kind of big gaps.
It's just not working, though, is it?
No, it's not. It's not. I'm very hungry. I'll try and be better. I'm sorry.
Didn't you say it was a donut earlier?
It is. It's the same donut.
Is it a Krispy Kreme crunchy donut?
No, it's jam filled. I am muting my mic during the eating. But if you guys can talk amongst yourselves for like another minute, that would be ideal.
Yeah, look, we can do that. Dinner? Yeah. Yeah, that's right. But, you know, we can do that. We can talk about how Madison's just trying to catch McCourt. at a steady pace. He's not too far behind. Court's just trying his best after those first couple of spins quite early on at the start of the race with his cooked tyres. Pitted early. Looks like a decent strategy. Cam Telling's there, 918's just gotten a pen for a collision on lap 23. And that was the lap just gone. So a couple of penalties being handed out, but it's usually, well, not usually, as we can see, it's further back in the field. So P15 is the highest up position that does have a penalty. So can't wait to see what the next split is like. Hopefully it's got less penalties than this. Oh, Madison's just trying to put that pressure on McCourt now.
Yeah, Jeffrey's watching that delta behind and rubbing his hands saying, yes, please make a move. Get the guy away from me.
Yeah, that's about right. He's just going, yes, please, pressure. No Mercedes, please. But I think he's maybe okay on the straight. That Lambo's fairly decent on the straight from what I remember.
As Madison's closing up, may not be close enough for a move. He's going to have to be a little bit more patient and let it happen for one more lap.
We'll see. He's got the speed, though, and he's going to go for it. Let's just see.
As I eat my words, Sean Madison take a bow. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Very confident.
Yeah. I think McCourt there just decided to let Madison through. Now Madison's going to absolutely go for it on Jeffries. Just see, McCourt could maybe try and put a bit more pressure back on Madison, and I think that's what Jeffries wants, but Madison's catching at a very fast rate per lap. It wasn't this close to him literally 2 corners ago. Wait to see what the lap time is when Madison does cross the line.
Yeah, you'd be curious to see if Jeffrey's going to let Madison by before the second sector and just take that slipstream, try and get a little bit more of a gap on McCourt. Well, he's at it, needs everything he can get. Only 10 minutes left in the race, approximately 5 or 6
maybe he won't
laps.
need that second sector. Madison goes to the dive. Jeffries breaks early, but now might have to reap the mistake. Going to have McCourt back on him now. Oh, Jeffries gets a much better exit. But
yeah, Madison got a little bit sideways on the exit there.
I think Jeffries may just, he's going to hold back a little bit. So we see race control, they're just saying driver of the day is N. Issen.
Well, it's good to see them performing well again.
Yeah, look, once you put the right drivers, Sean was telling me the other day, he started off in the Nissan, I do believe. Maybe Nissan or Ferrari, but he's back in it again for the first time in a few seasons. So I think he's very happy to be back in it with these sort of results. Well, he could have been higher up, but I think he's had a very good comeback. He's gotten past both McCourt and Jeffries. He's got 5 seconds to catch Sassana, but I don't think can be done. Nearly loses it there. That was very sketchy there. Don't know if he's got quite the pace to catch Sassana with just under 10 minutes to go. I'm sure I'm about to eat my own words, but something more important. Kitching's actually right on the back of Gallo now with Sonikas as well. It's a 3-way battle. Can't wait to see how this is going to unfold. I'm smelling a promotion here for Kitching as well after this race. He's had a very good performance. Had a decent performance last week too from memory. Wasn't quite up this high, but I'm sure if there's a podium here, that will be a Pro-Am promotion for him. But first, he's got to get past JP Sonikas, just in the Bentley behind. Just looking for that position, and he may get it done here, but he's going to lose out very quickly on the straight because of that garbage top speed. I'm sure if, we'll jump in, let's have a look. I'm interested to see. I haven't been told what the top speed, and there's a Honda. What's that Honda doing?
Just Honda things. Just doing Castrol things.
Yeah, right.
There's a Porsche finding an alternate way of getting out of the road.
You want to hope that Sonikas has a pretty satisfying end to the race, because he will be filling my boots in the commentary box after this, and you want a happy man to be joining you.
Yeah,
he tops out at about $2.76 at the end of the straight.
Okay, so that's not terrible, but he did have slipstream, so Imagine what it's going to be like without.
It's not enough for a sausage roll, is it?
No, it's not for us, especially in Melbourne. No, not enough, not enough. But
I worry about your
in
sausage
Melbourne,
roll
so-
vendors, where the difference of 5 cents means you get one or you don't. Well, I suppose that is how prices work, right?
It's my bet. If
You either pay the price or you don't.
You're either paying $2.80 for a sausage roll, or you're paying less for food poisoning.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know if there's a rating system where we're judging the cars based on what kind of sausage roll they get. You know, like, Sneakers here is getting just your run-of-the-mill, maybe a tuck shop one, whereas, the Porsches and whatnot are getting it's been in the heater for the last week at an Outback Roadhouse.
Well, I mean, the Bentley would probably get a store-bought one because I think it has the biggest tank out of all the cars, biggest fuel tank of all the cars in ACC, and everybody knows that it's a long way to the shop if you want a sausage roll.
Cam in chat just saying that the fastest lap is a 1:53.973 from our former Pro-Am Brit. Yeah, I'm with him there.
See that mid-race promotion?
Yeah, something tells me he's not going to be Pro-Am next week.
It's
Looks like
definitely putting on a very good showing.
Is that a lapped Audi just there? I'm not quite sure who it is. It could be Neil Wood, dare I say. Don't actually think it is. Might be... who is it? Someone.
It's a very good question. Squint, you can maybe pick out the numbers.
I think it's Desai, actually. I do believe that
it is. You are correct.
Yeah,
so it's
so
interesting just seeing the ratio between the three cars, and ultimately, with the Ferrari having such a good top speed and the Bentley kind of not, and it's getting the double toe, from the start to the end of Mistral Straight, the gap between them was about the same.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that the Ferrari, if that Ferrari had slipstream, which it did for part way down that straight, it just still manages to keep the gap to the cars that have that slipstream. Are you right, Braden?
I dropped my mouse, but we'll be back.
Whoa. You're back? That's good. We go 5 minutes to go now. Britt, only 2 seconds ahead of Reynolds. Reynolds closed that, I think, by about 4/10 in that last sector, so maybe we can't count Reynolds out just yet. We can definitely count Gallo out for a P2. And maybe we have to count him out for a podium if these two keep going the way they are. Sneakers is on a run at the moment. Just very good, that car through sector 1, through sector 1, but especially through turns 1 and 2 over those curbs. They can basically just eat all of them, unlike the Lambo and most other mid-engine cars.
Yeah, we can see why the Ferrari's just so strong here.
Yeah.
It's not just that it's fantastic down the big straight, but it also handles very neatly through sectors 1 and 3 as well. So it's a bit of a tough one.
Hitching trying to make it very difficult for Senekas to catch that slipstream.
And that is within the rules. So you certainly can't weave normally when you're trying to defend. So as a defensive move you can't, but you can break the toe.
I think the unspoken rule is you get one chance to eliminate the slipstream. You can't go back. I think you can weave out the way and then you can make your way back onto the racing line, but you can't weave away and then weave back on like you are deliberately just trying to take away from them.
I think I'm being corrected. So as I understood when I joined in, you were allowed to break the toe, but that was a couple of seasons ago, and now you cannot. So it's regular weaving. And so, exactly as you say, you get your one move. A couple of seasons ago you could, but I think it's a bit abusable to be like, oh, I was just breaking the toe, I wasn't defending. No.
Yeah, look, maybe after the stream tonight you can go and have a light reading session with the sporting code, Jamie Saxon.
That's...
Yeah, come on, even I read it the other day, mate. You've got to go and have a look.
What did I do to you?
Oh.
Don't list them, right? And don't talk about...
I won't.
Space Dog does not need to share about the time that I sent him a picture of my legs.
Why were there 3 legs in that picture, by the way?
We're clarifying what we were
One
wearing.
much more hairier than the other.
Oh, it's just...
Was there a microscope needed for that third leg?
Come on, are you in high school? Oh, wait, yeah, you are.
Yeah, I am. Thank you. Yeah, you got to remember that.
Good times, good times. All right, let's have a look here.
Oh, wow, Vliet is just putting all the pressure on Phillips. There's going to go for a dive. I dare say no, holds back. Doesn't need to though. Has put the pressure on. It's caused Phillips to just make that mistake. Phillips has got the good exit though. That Porsche's just trying to prioritise the exit out of turn 7 or 8, I believe that is. Just going to need all that slipstream on the straight.
Van Vliet just clips the track limit markers. I think he'll be all right for it. Like, you don't. It's one of the things that's very difficult to judge. Is how long is your bonnet? Because we can see that he could have stayed in that toe for quite a while longer. As soon as you touch, it's all for naught. We are on to the final lap as we just heard. So Brett, the Porsche just looks very, very squirrely there. You can see kind of, it's almost like he's taking nibbles of when he can turn the car just a little bit more. It's just a bit uncertain as to how it's going to handle. It's going for a slightly different line around Debasso. In through Bendor. I've not been calling out Bendor. I love it. And you have to wonder if you're Van Vliet, is that the end of your attacking opportunity for this race? You're only going to get one more lap at it. We should check up the front, see if this has shuffled around too much, and it has actually. So Sneakers has gotten past Kitching, presumably on the last lap, and it looks like for Kitching surely there is no way that he can close that gap up.
Yeah, nothing they can do. This is the final call for drinks down Mistral. If you're not close enough, you will not be able to place an order.
Tell you what is interesting though, Reynolds has just about gotten the gap to within a second as Britt has to go very wide
Britt
around
has
a blue
to go
flag
very
car.
wide. Wow, what's that Nissan doing? It's just held back Britt and his teammate.
Might have been suggesting a line around the inside of that corner.
Could be.
But yeah, obviously wasn't translated very well from the cockpit of Britt.
Crug in chat, pray for my boy Kitching. Mate, he has done a cracking job, but we're going to see here as Reynolds will cross the line in P2 and see Britt in P1 just ahead, and he closed it up so much in the last lap. Almost makes me wonder if there was a minor incident behind them.
Could be.
We can see Gallo ahead in the yellow Ferrari just coming into shot. Sneakers for P4 and then Kitching P5. Some outstanding work by these drivers. Done a really great job. Madison.
Well done to Britt especially. First win there in the Sprint Series. I'm sure there'll be more to come over the season. Madison has just gotten past Sasana on the final lap, so that's going to put him up P7. That's a very good recovery after getting that drive through. He was down, I dare say, about 12 or 13th, so that's a very good recovery there just through the final sector there.
Yeah, that's it. So we see it's boats that I wanted to catch a look at. So he's going to come in just behind Blair, but he's carrying that 10-second penalty. Blair, what could have been if not for a drive-through, but he's not alone in that drive-through pool. Ferguson and Van Vliet, very tight to the end, but it looks like...
Yeah, well, that's close.
Van Vliet will hold it. Incredibly tight. A touch further down, and it's actually Neil Wood that I want to have a look at here. He's got Roldan ahead of him, and Bub now not too far up as well. Oh, in fact, Roldan's gotten past Bub now in the last sector, so he's nabbed himself a cheeky position. We love to see it. And Wood just couldn't quite get the extra one, but comes in through P20, which in a grid of 39 finishes is a super solid run.
It definitely is a very good drive there from Wood.
Yeah, absolutely stellar effort. I can't help but put my vote of driver of the day to Britt on this one. That was super impressive, just from start to finish. Qualifying, absolutely dominated it this evening. And it makes me extremely excited. I know we're only 2 rounds in out of a 10-round series, but it makes me super excited for the finals, whether he be in Pro-Am or Pro by the time we get there. I think there's a lot of drivers that we see usually winning, the likely suspects. We'll be looking at some of these new guys coming through rookies thinking a new challenge awaits. So, yeah, it's definitely something to look forward to, see how these guys go, see if they make it into the finals eventually.
That's right.
Yeah, very exciting. So we've got a little bit of a break now, actually. So we've got 10 minutes before the next one starts up. Let me get my little commentary tools restarted. So we get a little bit of time to think, to reminisce about the race that was. We get to eject one of our commentators. Done with them.
We do.
Dead to us.
I mean,
Yeah,
there's only,
something like that.
there's only so many innuendos and segues you can listen to in one night, isn't there?
Yeah,
Oh,
something like that.
No, we could do a lot.
Yeah, we could.
But no, it's been a really exciting run, and we're going to have another one. Again, probably a good time. Go get yourselves a cold one if you don't have one handy. But I would recommend, I've been half keeping an eye on it, and I'm trying to drive cameras as well and whatnot. But the pitwall.live app is really, really good.
It is. I've been watching that a little bit as well. It provides you with some pretty good information.
Well, yeah, and you can start to pull out drivers and say whether or not they're gaining on each other in between stint times. You have to kind of pick the drivers though. But, some interesting stuff there. Sector times, the whole lot, whole kit and caboodle, and everything in between. I'm not really sure where I'm going with that there, but I've said it, so you had to hear it. We're all in this together.
Malik trying to start a bit of an unrelated sim racing chat discussion. Left or right side of the bed? I have to go right, otherwise I'll have a very cranky partner if I get out of her side of the bed at 5 a.m. So I have no choice. Also, the door's closer, and why would I walk around?
Yeah, see, when we switched, middle is the correct side, apparently.
The underside.
Yeah,
Just sink through the mattress and emerge from underneath.
I end up with whichever side is the closest to the door, and it's not my choice. She wants the one. It is what it is, right? Like,
No,
everyone's got a
I get it.
preference.
It's the same thing. Same thing for me. I'm nearest to the door because the partner prefers to be further away from the door.
It's just, I don't really
Very
mind.
odd.
The reality is, about 1/3 of the bed is mine, and 2/3 is hers. That's the side that I'm on.
Charles as well, fold or scrunch. I feel like scrunch is risky.
What?
Yeah,
Oh,
look, it is
What,
risky.
what if you scrunch it and there's like there's a hole and your fingers find their way through and
No.
you get Nutella all over your fingers and you gotta. Anyway,
That's
What are you on about?
this that's just a basic technique to make sure you're fine.
Yeah.
oh, yeah, fold. That's the technique. Or bidet.
I will say I'm going to go back to the bed thing. The best decision we ever made is a king size bed. It is the best. It's the absolute best. And none of this like, oh, I want to be closer to you bullshit. Right? Sure. I want to be able to sleep. Both of us want to be able to sleep.
What's that?
King size bed is just
No. What's sleep? What's that?
well, you know. Just
Yeah, well said.
if you want to save a marriage, get a king size bed. Right? Like it just
As we welcome Jean-Pierre Sonicus to the commentary box. Well done tonight, mate. I think it was P4 in the end. It was a stellar race, a late move to grab P4 as well. So really, really good job tonight.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. It was a good fun race.
Yeah, excellent. We saw a lot of it was good racecraft, and the other was surviving the attrition. What was your
people
feeling?
falling off.
It's always a nerve-wracking moment, isn't it? When you come around a corner and there's just a car sideways, you're like, all right, they're not going to collect me. It's fine. Keep going. Move on.
yeah, you always think they're not going to collect you until they do. So you just got to hope that they move out of the way in the right way. But no, it was a great fun race. Got lucky with a couple of drive-throughs, and yeah, I think the guys in this bit will definitely need to be careful with the drive-throughs.
Yeah, and we saw when we were watching you that Bentley. It's not very good on the straight, but looked pretty good through sectors 1 and 3. What was your take on how did it feel?
Yeah, it's definitely when the Ferrari and the Lambo was in front, the Bentley catches up a couple of tenths first sector, and then they just run away down the straight, and then you catch up a couple of tenths on the final sector. So Bentley tops out at about 275 without a tow, 278 with a tow. So yeah, it's definitely gonna struggle down the straight.
Yeah, I know we've been feeling in the BMW, I think 283, no tow, very viable. Seen a couple get up into the 285s with a tow, so it makes a big difference. Whereas the Porsche, we caught one of them where Porsche had a tow, stepped out of it to try and make the overtaking move. 277 hard limit, can go no further. It definitely hurts. It is what it is, I suppose. Paul Ricard is maybe one of those more extreme tracks where it really favours that top speed. I'll tell you what though, if you're coming here in a GT4, I'll give you the tip: do not bring the Ginetta. Just don't do it to yourself. If you thought these 277s and whatnot top speed was bad, the Ginetta, even compared to the other GT4s, is horrible.
But it sounds nice.
It sounds nice.
Yeah, as I say.
I
This is a
really
nice
like
word.
it. I really like it. I really like it. I'm pretty sure it's the Ginetta, and I'm not getting myself confused. It just
Yeah, I think
has
you're right.
nothing. So there's some tracks that it just doesn't work for. Spa as well, horrible.
Oh, that'd be horrid.
You just cannot. Whereas the BMW just drives on as if nothing's wrong.
Yeah, what's that? Well, yeah, it's just like top speed. Yeah, now fine with that.
Very happy with it. So
Yeah,
Anyways, in saying that, I'm going to see myself out. You've got about 2.5 minutes till qualifying kicks off, so I'm going to get out of here before I start distracting everyone.
no worries, mate. You have a good night's sleep. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you again next
Thanks
week,
for
hopefully.
having me. Right,
That's-
see you guys. Enjoy.
See you, mate.
See me.
The big question, Sneakers. Chase cam. What's your view on this?
Oh, it's the best game, isn't it?
Oh,
Look,
here we go. Oh, shit.
it's going to be a good night.
I thought you were on our side, JP. Come on.
Well, to be fair, I race in bonnet cam, so I'm already on the wrong foot.
Yeah, I only found that out today. I didn't actually know that. But, you know, all to their own. You're exactly like Bender loves bonnet cam. I don't really see, the advantage of it, except maybe that. Yeah, see, that's not a car in the McLaren. That would throw me off because look how low the ground it is.
So I suppose I could understand if your screen's ahead of you, and that
Yeah.
frame of reference, that's about where it should maybe be. You're going to have your own kind of dash things and whatnot to see what's going on with the car, but I could kind of understand it.
It's coming from a GT Sport background where the interior view is awful. So you get used to the bonnet cam. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is, it's personal preference, past experiences, and just, I think for me, I use the dashboard cam, and the only real reason I use it is because A, I don't want to use bonnet cam. B, I can't use the view with the wheel because it puts me off seeing my own wheel inputs. Like this is what I'd use just because it's so much better.
Oh, see, I have, and you'll see it actually. Any of the cars that I drive look like this. I'll find one that's on the track soon. I haven't driven that one. Bentley. Who's on the track? There we go. See, I have this one. So that way I get... Because you can turn the wheel and the hands off. Which makes it rubbish when it comes to commentary, because I can never pick this view in any car that I've driven. Which is why I have to use the helmet cam.
The problem with
instead.
that is that for me there's not as much FOV. Then you can't see beside. You might not be able to see beside you as much, but you can't see maybe where your braking points are with certain boards and stuff. But it's personal preference. I think the only real reason that you would drive chase cam in this game is if you're on controller. That's just no. Any other time, no, I'm not having that.
You've heard this argument a number of times, but
Here we go.
As on controller, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I like it. I actually
exactly.
like it. The fact that we have it in a way that you wouldn't have in any other world, because it does give you a view of how the car. I mean, all of these views, Helicam give you a great view of how the car is positioned on the track. If I could do kind of a fixed overhead view, which I could if I faffed about with camera controls, but I'm not going to do that, then that would be really interesting as well. Because it gives you that idea of, how they postured against, how far are they running out to wide on the track, what kind of line are they taking. Helicam gives us the best kind of view of that. So those are all, TV cams just give us a great stylistic shot. Makes it feel like it resonates more based on this is how we're used to seeing racing, through TV shots. So it's a bit of a mix. I actually don't mind. I don't mind.
Sorry, go
helmet
ahead.
cam. Oh, I was going to say I don't mind helmet cam, just because the rolling. Some people find it a bit nauseating, so we don't use it too much. But it gives you a sense of the momentum as well, which I find interesting. But, sorry, I cut you off.
The thing I don't like about bonnet cam is or steering wheel cam is you have two steering wheels in front of you, and it's just that animation doesn't always quite line up. But chase cam is great for reviewing replays or just watching one of the aliens do a lap and figuring out exactly where they place the car. As you said, it gives you a good perspective of how they place the car and posturing and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's it. And I think it's a good tell that when we do, it's a great point. When we go into replays, we will often hit into chase cam because it gives us a good sense. But I understand the view as well that it does feel a bit arcadey. It doesn't feel kind of what we want it to feel like as sim races. So, there's a reasonable argument for it either way. I love people kind of sharing and getting their views in there. I don't mind. Helicam is usually the way we go here, obviously, just because it gives you the biggest view. You can see the most of what's going on. Depending on these helicams are all pre-prescribed though, right? So, kind of to follow the track. I'd love to be zoomed out about an extra 100 meters here, and that way we can see a lot more of the track, but we can't. That's okay. I'd love some of these TV cameras to give us kind of long shots of all the cars coming up, and we get one for a bit here. That looks pretty nice, to be fair. It's going through and setting custom camera things all over the place is not something not something we do. That takes a lot of work. Oh my goodness, does that take a lot of work?
We don't have time here.
Yeah, it's just a blimp cam. I would love a blimp cam.
Oh, that'd be good.
As well, you can kind of tell that the camera is set on a fairly fixed plane as well. So on tracks with big elevation changes at the top of the hill, you get this kind of very squished in view, and at the bottom you get a very wide view. I'm thinking Kailami. Up at the top of the hill, you actually get a very small view of what's going on.
That's true.
I think the broadcast cams are very track dependent as well, because it just depends on, where can they place the cameras to actually generate a proper view. Paul Ricard is good because it's so wide and open.
Yeah, once you get to one of those narrower tracks, Zolder next week, it'll be interesting to see. I haven't really seen what the cameras are like there. It's not the widest track. It's fairly wide through turns 1, 2, and 3, but after that it's fairly tight. So it'll be interesting to see next week what the cameras are like there, just in terms of the quality of them, and where they're focused on and whatnot.
I've heard the tip before, and that is when you're setting up real cameras in car or anything else, is to put the camera where your eyes can't be. So to give people a view that you can't naturally and normally get. That's what I love here as well, It's pretty difficult to get a camera inside somebody else's skull, like we've apparently got right now. But in the sim we get that. So we get to see exactly as if it was me sitting in my room, given that I do actually use this view. Now we should get into a tiny bit of action, but we are in our first flying laps. It's hard to tell exactly where people are at. Richard McIntosh coming through, taking a nice late second apex through De Basso, through Bendor.
Does Bendor already have his own corner?
Well, apparently that is Virage de Bendor, which is Bender's Bend, which Mullock tells us is a nod to second Duke of Windsor or something like
Yeah,
that.
Westminster. Yeah.
Of Westminster. But it is on the real track. It is Virage de Bendor. So he's got his own apex and he's got his own corner. So we see McIntosh come through with a 155.3, I think it was. Sorry, go ahead.
We don't see a Bender rejoin today. We haven't seen one over these couple of the last 3 splits. So
We haven't seen.
hopefully we don't. Well, no, we haven't. But I'm hoping that they haven't happened. I've seen some that are close to causing Bender-like incidents, but wow, a 50. That's a good banker. Yeah.
53.7.
That's quite
See,
rude,
this-
actually.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, I think I can understand that. Bentley drivers, not the quickest around. The Bentley as a whole just isn't quick around here, so that's probably a bit rude to drivers in less BOP heavy weighted cars here.
Well, unless your name is Adini, then a 53.7
Oh well, yeah,
is
no, that's
a very reasonable opener.
yes. I think he did last night. So 53.474 or something, and I nearly died inside of how disgusting that was in the Bentley of all cars.
Well, as a Bentley driver, I definitely died inside. A big part of me is dead today because of Adini. So,
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough, but at least you're not in his split. Put it that way.
yeah,
Blood
fair
on
enough.
his hands, though. Right? He's responsible for the murders of many feelings.
And yet he probably sleeps like a baby every night.
Sure he does. After some of the performances he pulls in, I think he'd be very comfortable. But everyone always wants more. Even if you're first, I could be first by a bit more. And I'm not first, but I imagine what it feels
You're
like.
first into the wall, maybe. Yes.
Sometimes. So we see Gibbons finds another 3/10. That'll get him back up into P2. He needs a
No,
couple
it won't.
more if he wants... Oh, P3, sorry.
Yeah,
No.
he's still in P3.
Close the gap a little
Should
bit.
have gone to Specsavers.
Oh, okay. Sam Misson, though, 8/10. Looks like it's going to be about 7 by the time he crosses the line. That'll jump him a good bank of positions. I think that'll take the P3, if I've got that right. Not quite P4. A couple of tenths shy. Jeremy Washington, he's 6/10 up already in his lap, just finishing Sector 1.
Oh, this is, as I was saying earlier, we wanted to have a look at the BMW to see if Jamie can't drive it or not, and I think you can't drive it, Jamie.
This is known. This is known. I do better in it than I do in some of the other cars, so I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it. Actually, I'll try and get this really quickly. This one.
Yeah, this
280,
this view,
281.
the normal FOV view camera of this car, of the dashboard, it's disgusting. It's like, if you can imagine the view in any other car, it's mostly, outside view. In this thing, it's just dashboard. It's all just this dashboard, and it's just disgusting.
That it is. So 281 is what I saw Washington got coming into his braking point. That's about right.
Well, if he
Nice.
can nail these last 2 corners, he's on for a top 3 or top 2 easy.
Yeah,
He'd need
gonna
9
hopefully gain a
tenths
bit
for
of
P1.
time. He might gain it through this final corner though. Oh, he's a second up, but can he get a decent exit? Oh, I don't think it's going to
Just
be
not enough.
Just not enough. I'd say that's P3. Look how close that top 3 is. That's insane.
That's it. Now, Richard McIntosh has just gained a second, so he's jumped himself up into P6. Joe Spenceley, P15 at the moment, in the Lamborghini. He's opening up his lap, 7.5 tenths. Take that. Looks like maybe not quite the tidiest of entrances onto the Mistral Straight, so I think it's going to cost him, I'm going to guess maybe a tenth. So we'll go from about that 7.5 tenths up to maybe 6.5, which is not much, but like a tiny bit more. Still, if he can close this out at the moment, 1.9 seconds off pole, but 6.5 tenths would go a long way into closing that gap down. Takes a very wide apex. He's going to struggle to get it back
That's
across
all
without
valid, yeah.
invalidating.
And invalid.
It hurts a tiny bit.
It's a real problem, that corner in the mid-engine cars. I'm sure for someone in a front-engine car, cough JP, and you, Jamie, as well, that's probably not so much a problematic corner, but for someone like me in a mid-engine car, you get it wrong, you're going to get it wrong badly, and you're going to go wide, and you're going to invalidate, and you're going to be very angry.
And I think it really compounds because a lot of cars obviously run very low drag, they're running very low rear wing, so you're coming into a very high-speed corner, and you need to slow it down enough. You can't overbrake because you are turning in as well, and it's very easy to just whip the car around. It's a struggle, and then if you've got all that weight further and further back, then it just gets harder and harder and harder. So Zanchen gets himself up with 155.2 into P16.
Wow. Those times that he was 9/10 up there, and he only gained 5 positions from that. It just shows just the pace that we've got this season in Sprint Series. I know I'm not trying to bag out drivers or other seasons, but this season is tight. Like this is insane.
Yeah, P13 is a hair over 1 second off P1 at the moment.
It's
so
just
very
so
tight.
insane.
Well, McIntosh with a very, very respectable time, and he's still 5/10 off the first place. So it just shows you the incredible speed that the top level guys get.
Yeah, that's it. We've got Matt Powell here. He's 7.5 tenths up now. At the moment, he's 2.3 behind. Now he's in the Pro-Am class. I'm not sure who's leading the Pro-Ams for this qualifying at the moment. He's got...
I think it's Sean Jacobs in the McLaren, who I think will be probably getting a promotion after this week from what Malik implied in chat, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, it makes sense. Powell, though, finding a couple more tenths. A bit more of a gain as he heads into Bendor.
That's such an uncomfortable sentence when you know Bender.
I didn't really think about what I was saying, but that's the name of the corner. It's Bendor, not Bender. It's an E. It's an O.
Sure, yeah, yes. Over a second up.
Well, yeah. The French way it's written is Bendor, but the English translation is Bender. So,
maybe. Powell there takes 8 tenths, gets him up to P18.
8 tenths, 5 positions again. So it just shows, there's that 4 tenths gap. I can't math. 3 tenths gap between that 19 and 20th there. So it just shows that there's a Porsche that wants to do a drift, but look at that. A 53.5 from Zach Smith. There's Sean Jacobs there. P2, Jezza Washington. I'll get my words out. P3, very good lap time to Gibbo there. P4, and McIntosh, very respectable in the Bentley. I'm sure JP is absolutely drooling at that right now.
It is fantastic to see the Bentley up so high. Yes, I definitely am proud of Richard for that. Great lap by him.
I think one of the things that's jumping out to me here, though, is, and we saw this in the last split, a few Mercedes up really, really well placed. They really struggle to get it through for 60 minutes. It seems like we never really saw them going forwards unless it had been preceded by a big step backwards. I could be wrong, but it's just that top speed. On a hot lap, you can kind of really flog it and you can get it there, but in full race conditions, it starts to really struggle. But got 30 seconds to go, and I'm going to crack this cold one, so let's just give me a rating on this.
Saying there's a 39% chance of a safety car.
39.
I think another thing to look for at the start is the Aston being very slow off the line. So Zach is definitely going to have to nail his pull away from the green lights.
Yeah, I think you really need to kind of brake boost it to get a bit of boost up.
Yeah, that's right.
Massive
but
lag.
If you're an experienced driver like Smith, that's going to be nothing for you. You're just going to hold those brakes, full accelerator, and just go for it on the start. I'm sure he won't have any shoot. I'm sure that'll be the same for Washington. Probably needs to brake boost a little bit in the BMW because it's so bad off the line as well. You right, Jamie?
I know Samwise is going to love this.
Oh, right, of course, yeah. Samwise does love your chase and far chase cam.
He's getting both. I don't know if I can time it with the Jaws music as well. Look at this, you can see... through the high-speed corners, you can get a real sense of the roll of the car as well, which is something very difficult to catch out. But for the moment, we'll get to see a bit of a formation start to come up. Drivers just
Mullet's
looking
asked if we can curse Samwise, I believe.
Oh, it's on. It's happening as we
game
speak.
on.
He will be centre on the start, centre screen. Let's see what he can do.
Well, I had a fantastic 20-minute race with Samwise here last week, where for 20 minutes we were within half a second of each other, and it was just one of the most fun races we've had.
Yeah, it's always good when you get that kind of that back and forth scrap, and you catch up to each other. And I like it when you get a few side by sides. You think you're gonna, you're playing just on the edge. Maybe there's a little bit of a touch, but nothing too serious comes of it.
It's the one thing I have to say about Paul Ricard. As much as I dislike it, it makes for some excellent racing, and because it's so nice and wide, you can go side by side through signs at the end of the straight and not make contact, and it just makes for really good close racing.
Yeah, I think anyone who likes Paul Ricard less than Barcelona is, I'm not sure what they're thinking, because it does. You're exactly right. It has those upsides. We see side by sides. We see cars getting moves down, and yeah, it's frustrating when you just kind of get overtaken on the Michelin straight. But when you get to line someone up through some of the tighter sections in sectors 1 and 2. Look for an overcut, undercut, later apex, and gets better drive out. It's what it's about.
Yeah, but Jamie, I like Barcelona more than Paul Ricard.
Why? Do you like Monaco more than Silverstone?
No.
You might as well.
That's
We're just picking
a bit of a
procession races, aren't we?
generalisation there.
Depends if you're talking about hot lapping or racing.
Racing, Barcelona can be good. Hot lapping, garbage.
Wait,
I can agree with that.
Racing Barcelona is good.
Yeah.
In
Can
GT3,
provide
not in a
some-
Formula 1.
No. Formula 1, you get out. It was honestly so bad.
I don't know what to say.
But no matter.
I'm
Who wants
lost
to
for
take
words.
this one?
I'll pick this one up. So
Right.
we've got our camera squarely on Holmes to get a nice big view and to maximise the curse chances. But all eyes will be on Smith up ahead, and Jacobs not letting him get far away. They're right up side by side, making sure he doesn't get a lag. And there it is. Smith struggling with that off-the-line speed that the Aston really has an issue with. Jacobs putting his car right in front of it, and indeed almost opening it up for his teammate in Gibbons to make a little bit of a move there. As we see, there's a big old tap. There's a Ferrari 360ing off.
Oh, there's going to be a safety car.
That is
Holy
safety car, and we can see
mother.
everyone slowing down. That looks like it is straight away. I think. Yeah, we're not hearing full throttle action. So let's maybe jump back here. 30 seconds should just
Can
about
we
do it.
have another analysis of this? Samwise, I think Samwise may have actually started it all. Got a bit of a tap on the Ferrari, tap, death, Lambo, Merc, BMW, Honda. Yeah, all of
And
it.
it's the second tap with an extra Ferrari that's really made things a bit scrappy. Now, ultimately, don't actually think that many cars have been really muscled out and suffered some big
Yeah.
hits, but
I think it's the best decision there from the race director, just to call that safety car. There may not have been too many cars, I dare say, maybe 5 or 6 that were hugely impacted there, but if we think about it over a 60-minute race, that's just a huge
Unfortunately,
difference.
2 of the guys who got caught up is 2 of my Kovacs team members, who are now in last, David Neighbour and Pete Viney. And Corey Sweet also got caught up there, so it's unfortunate for them.
yeah, we're just
I'm
picking
lucky
it out.
now
You can see Viney's car looks pretty fresh. Neighbour, a little bit of damage. Sweet. Oh, goodness.
Yeah, mess. And
That
that's
is
it's a
not.
shame for them too, because unfortunately you cannot pit under the safety car, so they're going to have to wait until the safety car comes back into the pits, which I'm assuming will be on at the end of the next lap once everyone gets on round.
I'm just trying to pick out and have a look at some of the later cars when I get a camera angle at it. So you can see Matrillo as well. Looks like a little bit of damage to the front. Doesn't look too rough though. A bit of a scrape on the side. Zeke, no dramas with his car. Norazafar looks pretty fresh. Through stock. No real damage there. Parkin looking alright. Wilson doesn't, so not seeing too much more. Matthews has definitely got a bit of a scrape up the front, so he might be one of the Ferraris that pirouetted around as well. But I think we're back off racing, so I better get up there. No, we're not. Sorry. So we're doing another full lap under the safety car.
This is the first lap under the safety car, technically.
Ah, of course. So it's kind of essentially kind of a virtual safety car up until that, and now we'll do that lap. So the question is, if you're in Sweet's position, do you pit? I think you do.
I think you do.
You got to go full tank. Well, you probably don't need a full tank. It'll only be, I dare say, 54 minutes range-ish by the time we get this race back underway. So
About 90.
just chuck, 90, 95 litres in the tank, maybe 100 probably, just to be safe, and you just go for it.
What's that
He's
double?
got nothing to lose.
It's going to hurt him late in the race. His
It
tyres
is,
will be
but
absolutely mutilated, but
If he can find the time quickly and can get past everyone, I think he's in with a solid chance.
now
But to be fair,
what's the
They're
time
gone.
cost of a pit stop? I think it's the 30 seconds for the stop. I think it drive through cost me 20.
So I dare say 40 to 50 seconds.
I reckon. I feel like
I'd say about 50.
I think my drive through I lost 20 seconds. So
Yeah.
I'm going with maybe a minute. Right, you've got
Yeah.
time to stop, get it pulled up. Ferguson reckons about a minute. 50 to 52 for Neil Alexander. It's a very tight window.
Look, it is. I'd say
O'Hara
if you-
saying 60 to 70.
Yeah. If you nailed the stop, you could possibly, and you don't have damage, maybe under the 60. But other than that, it's 60 to 70. If you mess up the pit stop, though, that's big time losses. 80 seconds maybe.
So that may be the saving grace, is that if you pit now, you are not coming back into traffic. You'll have a really good gap ahead of you, and you're not going to have anyone that close behind you that you're going to have to immediately give up the position. Now, by the time they actually get there, because it's going to be that ramp back up to speed. If you're in Sweet's position, I think you pit straight away. I reckon you're probably going to come out with 30-second gap to the leaders. To them behind you, you're going to have everyone else better part of a minute ahead of you. And that's not bad at all.
It's okay. We're back on the restart now. Jacobs has gone straight for it at the final corner. Got a very good start there on Smith. Gibbo is right behind him. Got Washington as well. McIntosh, excuse me, Samwise back there, P6. Had a couple of positions on the start. All have cold tyres now if they didn't keep them warm around that safety car lap. Hopefully we don't see another incident, another safety car call. Here's Baldwin now. He's very talented in the Bentley, this guy. I don't know how old he is. I don't want to call him a kid. I'm a kid. But very, very talented. He's done very well in the Endurance Series with his teammate Jeremy Washington. So hopefully he'll be able to make up some positions and help get up to where his teammate is currently. But he's got a bit of work to do, but does, of course, have 53 and a bit minutes to do it.
The thing that does catch me out, Sweet did not opt to pit in. So maybe, he probably can't see how messed up his bonnet is.
But he has to do a lap after the safety car is boxed before he's allowed to pit.
Yeah,
Is that the case? I thought you were allowed to follow it in, but I must be wrong.
No, that it's been a bit,
Not allowed to pit. There you go.
No.
So it'll be the next one, and we might see a couple of other drivers come in as well.
Yeah, it hasn't been quite understood, I think, the last week, so I think it's been just reinforced now that you cannot pit.
No, that's all right.
Oh, yeah, well, we do read your announcements, Malik, but, just sometimes we forget, or... Yeah,
I always clarify with the race director if it comes up,
Yeah.
especially because I'm a safety car, you get time, just to make sure that I've got it right, and if I've got it wrong, so I can get myself corrected. There you go. So, we'll see then who does come in. But for the moment, it looks very, very civilized. I haven't seen any yellow dots on the radar, which is always a good sign. So we're going to cross the first reflying lap. That's an interesting one. Is that Holmes?
Yep, that's Samwise.
I wonder if he... Oh, that might actually be going a little bit quick there into the pits, but...
Now, his car's fresh. No damage.
Yeah.
He's just seen an opportunity.
This is a strategy.
I'm wondering... I don't know if that's a good play there from Samwise. He's sharing a pit box with the safety car, which is interesting. But I don't know, is he pulling something out of the hat? Is he big braining this one? We'll have to find out later in the race. Swee's definitely coming into the pits now. Yeah, here he comes.
You know what? I think I like it, actually. Because what we saw, and those are the only two that have gone into the pit. So Holmes and Sweet have taken that in. What I like about it is that I said it at the start, the Mercedes, because they struggle so much on the Mistral Straight, and then they get overtaken and they're just not able to use what they're good at, which is sectors 1 and 3, to their advantage, because now they've got a car right in front of them, they're blocking their lines, etc. This way gets him out of all sorts of traffic, and he can just hot lap for himself until, for the next 20 minutes or so. It needs a toe, certainly, but we've seen them qualify well and race poorly in terms of outright pace, not in terms of driver ability, obviously. So that's what I'm thinking. That's where I think he might have made a good choice. Instead of getting pressured by cars that are faster than him on the Mistral Straight and more losing to a toe than gaining from it, he gets an opportunity. But I think if you're further down the order, then maybe you've got more of a battle and more of an opportunity there.
I think one of the biggest benefits he's going to have, as you say, no traffic, so he can consistently put in laps without being impeded by other drivers or backmarkers or anything like that. So he can basically a hot lap for the next 50 minutes.
Yeah, that's it. Just caught. There's been an incident here. This is car 118, Pete Viney. Something's gone a little bit wrong for him. As you can see up ahead, there's what's that? Frustock on Matrillo. Sanderson in the... Oh no, that's Sanderson on Frustock. Sanderson was in the Lamborghini.
Honda
But there's
things
the
occurred.
Honda
Yeah,
things.
that's just VTEC things.
I just... VTEC kicks in and you lose it. But he gets it pointed forward again fairly quickly. He's going to have to nurse those tyres for a little bit because they will be hurting. But not too bad. Yeah, the Honda about as far back as an engine goes except for a Porsche. So very, very vulnerable to losing it in that way.
Yeah, you can probably nearly count the Honda as a mid-rear engine car. It's so far back, but it's not actually considered a rear engine. I'd probably say it's not far off being a rear engine car, just considering how much further back the engine is in comparison to, a McLaren or a Lambo.
Well, it's a funny one because the Bentley, at least the old Bentley, and I think still this generation that we're on board with right now, is also technically mid-engine. It's simply the centre line of that engine that sits behind the front axle, so therefore it is mid. But to be rear, the engine actually has to be behind the rear axle, so it's only the Porsche that does that one.
To be fair, the Bentley is about 94 meters long, so...
Yeah, look, it is. It's very long, but it's nowhere near as wide. Well, he's wide, but that BMW, that thing is a very wide, thick boy.
From what I've seen with the new M4 that's just been launched, the M4 GT3, apparently it's bigger than the outgoing M6. So
Do you mean in terms of wheelbase or width?
I think, from what I understood, it's wider and a longer wheelbase than the M6. I don't know how they've managed that.
How have they managed? From the photo that I saw, it didn't look like that, but maybe I'm just going insane. But that's if that eventually gets implemented into ACC, you won't have a lot of trouble defending in that car because it will just defend for you.
Well, as Charles said in the chat there, it's mostly grill.
Grill, yeah.
That's a good point.
That's about right.
And then 4 wheels, so fair enough.
Yeah.
Why not? It works, I guess. Seeing
Sure does.
Bentley on Bentley action here. Now, Baldwin has a fair gap to Misson behind him, so it'll be interesting to see what he can do here with kind of a multi-toe, I want to say. McIntosh he'll be getting the dregs of one off Washington ahead, I guess.
think one of the problems is going to be most of us Bentley drivers are using the same setup, so you're not going to have a massive advantage on the straight over another one.
That's right, other than slipstream. Malik saying the new BMW is sexy. I'd agree if you looked at it from, let's say, the back. But the front, yeah, no. That grille just doesn't do it for me, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I saw, I think it was Chris Harris talking about it, and I think I agree with him. He's like, the grille I could eventually get used to. Once you start really taking a look at the side, it gets worse each time.
Yeah.
And you kind of get distracted by the grille, and then it's the same.
I could get used to the grille if the license plate wasn't directly crossing over it.
That's definitely a challenge. That's definitely a challenge. Neil Alexander likes the grille, hates chase cam. This is all you need to know about him. All you need to know. He's wrong on two fronts. That's my interpretation, at least. Let's jump back a little bit here, because we've got Zanshin. He was right alongside Girardi, and looks to have taken that position, but there is a good old gaggle back here, and indeed, kind of Spenceley might be the one to watch. Let's go inside his mind for a moment as he pursues Powell. He's got Cheviot's ahead of him, who's right on the back of Laird as well, so it's a good old run.
Looked like he may have gone a little deep there into turn one. If you get the entry there slightly wrong, you're not going to get the best run through turn two with the curbs. Not that you can always hit the curbs in a mid-engine car like the Lambo, but if you're in a car like the Aston or the Bentley or the BMW, it's probably not so much an issue because you can take as much curb as you want and not lose near as much time as you would in a mid-engine or rear-engined car.
You're not wrong. There's something I want to watch here, and that is Powell. The reason that I want to watch that is because he's getting a double toe, but that Ferrari is so quick.
And the GTR is no slouch either, so...
Yeah, hit there. 283, 284. Can he hit 285? It's 284 is what he capped out. Oh my...
Oh, it was a tap. No. Cheviot's has just tapped around Laird. What is that about?
He just carried too much speed for there. Ferrari is just better for there than the GTR, I would say.
He's hit 287. I don't think the car can go any faster, but yeah, he's just tried to carry a touch too much.
No.
And you can see, you can kind of tell how light a touch it was. It was a touch, don't get me wrong. But it's upset his car not at all. Even with the Nissan spinning out, he was offline, but he was able to kind of cruise through, which means that in terms of the impact, his car just hasn't really felt too much of the force of that. But with a lightly loaded rear, and part of it'll be a lot of that loading is towards the front as he shifts that weight there, and the Nissan's also at the front, so lightly loaded rear gets tapped and off he's around. But just one of those things. Yeah, big pen, and we can see, is that a BMW? That's not Washington. No, that'll be a lapped BMW. It was off the side of the track there. So
It's
unfortunate stuff.
Way of getting out of the way.
Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do to get out of the way, don't you? So you see these boys again. Baldwin chasing McIntosh with the toe. Now McIntosh a bit further behind. He's going to have less to defend with.
Well, it's not going to be too helpful here for Baldwin because once he's out of the slipstream, you may as well just give up on the Bentley at that point. But he gets it done. McIntosh just lets him through. And now Baldwin is going to be on the hunt for Washington.
Is that a bit of
McIntosh? Sorry.
No, you
Not
go.
battling that too much. He can hopefully stick to the back of Baldwin and pull up to Washington in front.
Yeah, because I was just thinking, there was only the slightest bit of overlaps, so McIntosh would be well within his rights to try and take his line, although I suppose he did and left the door open and seen Baldwin fly through. And I think you're right. It's not worth getting in a tangle on it. Yes, I could probably pressure them all and compromise their line a little bit more. I'm entitled to. I can pick my line. I'm the car ahead. But you're probably just going to compromise yourself more than anything else. And I'll take the toe next lap. Thanks.
And especially with 43 minutes remaining in the race, there's no point getting tangled up now.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, a lot of this will be resolved in long race thinking, and when's the right time to pit. That is the question. It's a good point. I just want to swing down, have a look. So Holmes, at the moment, he's actually just done his fastest lap, and we touch on that just because he did that early pit stop, 1:55.5, which is a very good race pace. Although Baldwin and everyone up from him are all doing 1:54s at the moment. But drops off reasonably quickly as people get into scraps and whatnot. I'm feeling like Holmes' strategy is going to pay off, but the real question will be, with 5 minutes left to go, what kind of lap times can he pull then?
Yeah, the problem that Samwise is sitting with is he's running on 80 or 90 liters of fuel, where everybody else is running half of that, so he just won't be able to match the pace.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and he'll be pushing his tyres quite hard to keep up a reasonable pace. And, I did 47 minutes or so due to overfilling as we're watching Powell get the move done on Girardi, and I think he's going to hold that. He will indeed. 47 minutes, and I was absolutely feeling it. And not just on the rears, on the fronts as well, because they do suffer an absolute beating through some really long extended braking zones.
Yeah, the front left definitely cries a little bit here after about 20 or 30 minutes.
Let's see. It's a good test all round. This track, you certainly got to set up for low downforce, but you've got some areas where it demands a very different kind of car. So, yeah, at 7 says Honda 40 minutes. Fronts were broken. And a good timely reminder as well. Hit the like and subscribe if you're enjoying this. It does really help us out. I know you've heard it a million times.
What if I'm not
Whenever you
enjoying
shoot
your
video.
chase cam?
Well, this isn't chase cam, but I can pop one on.
No, I'd really prefer you didn't.
I mean, we need to know if you enjoy it or not. You said, what if I'm not enjoying it? But we don't know. So
Yeah,
now...
well, I'm not enjoying it now that you've got far chase cam.
Well, you just... Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, just a quick note on Baldwin has taken about 4/10 out of Washington in the previous lap.
Yes.
So it seems like it's working out.
Yeah, it just shows Bentley's not a slouch, except for Sector 2. Ignore that. But the rest of it, very good.
Yeah, so McIntosh now 1.4 seconds behind. Was that really... He was able to stay in it because he was getting a bit of a tow. But now without it, he doesn't quite have the pace that he'd need. And at this point in time, Baldwin is the quicker Bentley.
Well, as long as McIntosh can manage the gap to Misson behind him, he'll be in a good position towards the end of the race.
Yeah, that's it. And I think Misson himself, he'll just be happy with where he is at the moment, to some extent, in that he's leading the Pro-Am class, or leading what is going to remain the Pro-Am class, given that that Jacobs is certainly getting promoted shortly. But there's the tell, because Washington had been walking away a little bit from McIntosh, but Baldwin closed it right up, and closed it up, was that 6/10 through Sector 3?
Yeah, I dare say it was, I think he was 3/10 through Sector 3, just being let through there by a blue-flagged Honda. So just see the positives to the Bentley through Sector 1 and 3. We're about to see the negatives coming up to the straight, though. Even with the slipstream, the BMW should probably still pull away. Not at a rapid pace, but unless Baldwin doesn't get a bad exit. Let's see if he does. It's a decent one. So he's going to have a slipstream. That BMW already pulling away, but now the slipstream is going to take effect. Not by much, though. It's just, all it's doing is just helping Baldwin hold on to the back of Washington at the moment. He's catching now, but now to get to the top end, 2, 7, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No way it's going to hit 280. I don't believe that.
I don't think it can.
Yeah, no, I don't think it can. Sure.
Yeah.
It's just the top end of the Bentley, unfortunately, but now it comes back into its strong point, Sector 3.
Yeah, I think it in very real terms actually just runs out of revs. So even with a bigger toe, it still can't go any further. We watched one earlier hit 279 and then drop back to 278 before hitting braking. Which just like the car's got nothing more.
Yeah, that's poor Ricard doing what it does best, ruin people's laps.
I mean, it's partly about where's the power in the car as well. So right at those top end,
Yeah, there is that.
It's just dropping power. But
I dare say, is it one of the longest straight in the game?
In terms of a whole straight, you go faster, I think, at Bathurst. I think you can, but you've got the downhill, which really helps you
helps
get that speed up.
Yeah, okay.
And it's downhill the whole way. Whereas Mistral does rise a bit just at the end, which when you're right at the edge of your power band is going to cost you a fair bit. So it may be the longest. But I'm not sure. Spa depends, I suppose. It's not the longest, right? Because you've got ready on, even if you can hold it flat. So Baldwin is not really going to have... This is not going to be where his opportunity comes. It's not going to be a Mistral by the looks of things. Short of Washington, he's getting a little bit wrong. But it is his opportunity to stay with him. Because this is the BMW's strong point. As long as he can stay in that window, then his opportunities will come in Sectors 1 and 3. Sector 2 is basically just the Mistral Straight.
It is.
Not even the whole lot of it. Sector 3 starts about 80% of the way up the straight.
Yeah. Just see there, Baldwin getting a nice run through there. Looks like he's gained another... he's actually lost a tenth since I last looked, but looks like he's closed it up now. I dare say he's only 3 tenths off. See what sort of an exit comes of it later on as Wolf just gets passed by K. Yep, I can read, but K does go wide. Keeps it on the track though, but I think the Merc's going to fight back.
I think K might have actually just given the position back then and just said, look, I ran way too wide. I couldn't hold that overtake, so I'm going to let you have that. He'll still get a penalty unless he lifted hard enough, which given he's still in a contestable position. But my gut feel there was that he kept himself quite wide, said you can have that position back, I won't take it that way. It's very respectable. Ben Floyd into the pits in the Mercedes. So interesting to see how that plays out for him. But we are coming into about the time where drivers will start to head into the pits. So I wonder then, if you're in some of these fighting positions, do you make the undercut now? So Powell is a good example here. So he's got he ahead of him, and I suppose if you're getting a tow, you don't give that up. But if you're he, maybe you do. Where's Cheviot's gone? Okay,
He's
gone.
P11. I think
Well
it's
ahead up the road.
just a case of pressure on the drivers.
I was misreading
at
the
the
gaps.
Oh, well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think at the moment it's just a case of who is going to put more pressure on. So we see Chewiat's catching Zanshin. Could Zanshin pit now, go for the undercut on Chewiat's, just probably come out in a fairly big pack, but can he at least be on those fresher tyres and just be putting in the laps to get past Chewiat's as he goes wide? But
Well, he'll be on the
just
back of Sassano, so he might.
Yeah,
Might have been thinking about it.
I think Aston's pretty okay on tyres here, so I guess if you decided to pit now, it's probably not going to be so much an issue. It does stay out though. But if you're Chewiats, do you pit now and maybe try and go for the undercut yourself and just try and put in those laps? Especially in a car like Ferrari, you don't need that slipstream like other cars. You're easily going to get up to 2.82, 8.3, maybe 8.4 without the slipstream. So Do you maybe take that gamble, go early, try and manage the tyres earlier on, then put in the laps?
Yeah, the risky run is just coming out in slow traffic and potentially losing a second or two. So, but it might be worth the gamble for sure, because you can't find a way past him otherwise.
Yeah, I think there'll be a few of them really tussling up with whether or not it's time to go. Washington's a good example as well. So he's got Baldwin behind him. I'm just having a look on pit wall actually, and see Baldwin's now about holding level pace with him, and I think he'll be starting to twig that it's really it's the toe that's really keeping Baldwin in that fight. Not that he's not a great driver, but the car that he's got, like all cars here, whoa, as we see Zanshin,
good save.
Yeah, pulls it back in and really doesn't compromise his line too much, but that was a hairy moment. He's only lost maybe a car length. Cheviot's behind, but Cheviot's will pounce on that.
And there's a drive-through for Girardi, probably for track limits already, halfway through.
It's 32 minutes or thereabouts before left. Well, so 28 minutes or so before we sent our first, which is definitely longer than what the previous split managed. I wondered for a second if Cheviot's was going in, and he is. There's a couple more, so McIntosh is in, Raschudi's in. So McIntosh is probably the big change here, and I think it makes sense for him. So he was losing pace to Baldwin, and he was starting to really claw into the grasps of Misson. So this way, he kind of avoids those problems and can continue on afterwards and try and make hay there. Jump back up, because Baldwin's maybe a tiny bit closer this time. But it's just so quick, that BMW. Let's have a look. From this perspective, you can see in his virtual mirror there, Baldwin behind him, and doesn't seem to be getting much closer. Here he
On
is.
its own, it's doing quicker than the Bentley can with it though.
That's insane. Just so planted and fast through that right-hander after Minestrone. It's like the BMW makes it easy, and the Bentley's just struggling with that top end. Looks like Baldwin did get a bit of a better run through there, but might not be enough. They're both teammates, of course, in the Endurance Series, and both very talented drivers, so maybe one of them, maybe Baldwin should pit early, go for the undercut, see whether he can actually get ahead of Washington with the pit strategy, because he needs to do that or else he won't get past because of the straight.
There it is.
He does.
Gibbons jumps in.
Gibbons as well.
Yeah.
That's a good pickup. So that's going to shake up things a little bit. We'll see how. As we see, is that Zanshin, I think it was? No, Mac. Who's just come out of? Someone's just come out of the pits. I think it might have been Zanshin.
No, Zanshin's still showing us one fitted.
Zanshin's still
good point.
behind, so yeah, it must
Not
be a
Smith,
further back
it'll be,
Aston.
someone further back. Maybe Liam. Stuart Matthews as well in the pit. Frustock just coming out of his. And the other thing to really watch is where does Holmes slot in relation to drivers that have pitted. And indeed, you can see here, McIntosh has completed his pit, and so Holmes has pulled himself from back of the grid with an incident to, what's that, 5, 6, 6.5, plus his 2, 8 seconds or so off McIntosh.
Holmes pitted from 7th, yeah? I think your Sweet is the one who pitted from the back.
No, Holmes pitted quite early.
Samwise pitted early as well, but Sweet was the one who got involved in the incident that had to pit. I'm not quite sure where he is. I think he's still fairly far back.
He's in 41st, so I think he might have had a bit more of an incident along the way, but Holmes pitted very early in the race just to try and get the undercut, because he was, I think, a bit back just in terms of some of the incidents and whatnot, and getting some clear air. might really help him out here. So we'll see. There's a gaggle of other drivers all start to come in. Johnson's done his. Lawson's just on the way out as well. And here we go. Zach Smith and Sean Jacobs have both gone in together. So Jacobs had a fair gap to Smith, 3.2 seconds at the last split. We will see how that plays out. Samwise was 6th entering the pits. Oh, that's right. Yeah, no, he just pitted really early, didn't he? Just in general.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, no, you're right. I'm getting mixed up. But that's
It's okay. It's not an easy job.
So here's my big question: is where does Smith and Jacobs slot in as they head back out? Smith is off the jacks, and he was in P2.
So he may actually get the jump on Jacobs, and he
Smith,
does.
there's Jacobs.
He does. What's
Still-
happened to Jacobs? Did he get a bad pit stop or something?
That is a very
That's-
slow.
Wow.
So I mean, to put
Oh no,
that
hang
down,
on. Smith, he's still out in front of Smith. How does that work? Smith must have been a long way back in terms of the pit boxes.
yeah,
Or
maybe
may
I
have
must,
made a mistake there.
I
But
must have jumped onto someone wrong.
There was
Yeah.
another Aston in the pits, possibly.
Oh, you might be
yeah.
right. So yeah, I think he's actually fallen further behind. I'll see it as soon as the split time has come up. But yeah, it looks like Jacobs might have been... Yeah, there we go. 5 seconds.
yeah, wow.
Now the gap, that's much... He's opened that out by pretty much 2
Gibbons
full
was
seconds in the
closer
pit.
to Smith now.
That's a very
Sorry.
good point. No, you're absolutely right, and he'll be coming in with nice warm tyres. So Smithy, I want to say, might have missed his box. Don't think he had damage to deal with. Washington in now as well in the pits. So
Interesting to see where he comes out in terms of Jake Baldwin. Just having a quick look. Not sure. I think he should still come out in front.
So this is where Gibbons can really kind of carry a lot more speed than what Smith can. And gets his biggest opportunity to close this gap up, because by about the end of the lap, Smith will be at a reasonable tyre temp. And it'll be much closer to even footing. Indeed. Gibbons feels a bit closer. It was 1.2 at the last split, so as they cross the line, we'll see what he can pull that gap down to. Really wants to be inside that second or lower to get a bit of a tow, and that'll open up some attacking opportunities. And across the line, it's 1 second, so he's closed it up by a couple.
Oh, there's Washington having a bit of a moment there with a lapped Lamborghini. Not quite sure who that is. Let's just
I
see
think
what happened here.
He'd come out of the pits as well. So I'm not sure
Think
who
that-
that is.
That
There goes
Lambo may
Baldwin, I
have-
think.
Yeah, that's Baldwin. So he's had a bit of a moment there with the Lambo. I do believe that was Baldwin. Could be wrong though. But he has gotten past that lap. There's a Bentley there. That must be a lapped Bentley. Unless... Yeah, it's a lapped Bentley. So
Oh, Baldwin not
it's not, it was not Baldwin. So Baldwin's now much further behind Washington than he was before. So now he's got that 3 second gap to close. It's looking a bit unlikely to do. He still does have 24 minutes to go, so there's still the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I think it's really going to tell the story potentially here. Was Baldwin being kept in it with the tow, or was he actually just kind of being held up through sectors 1 and 3? And without Washington doing that, he'll actually just close the gap back up. And it's more the power of the BMW that was keeping Washington in the game, and some good driving skills as well. So we'll see that, I think, evolve over the next couple of laps. But I'm very curious. So Clayton here is closing in on Heath. I think this one's going to be a very different story. So I'll goodness, that dash looks so dated.
It's so awful, isn't it?
I just...
Sounds
Even,
nice,
even the
but
wheel. Look when he turns. If he turns much, look at the wheel. Like who does that? Who shapes their steering wheel like that?
Nice.
Jag.
Yeah, just jag. Yeah.
You're not wrong.
It does sound very nice though, so it's not completely awful. It looks awful, but it sounds very nice.
Yeah, it looks awful, drives awful, but sounds good.
Well, I mean, that describes half the modified cars I've ever seen or more.
Yeah, that is the definition of modified cars.
Does it look good? Sure. Does it drive well? Not at all.
No way.
And then half of them just sound pretty horrible as well.
Yeah.
Is the exhaust supposed to sound like that? Yes. Why? Anyway. Now, surprisingly, and this is what's kind of catching me out at the moment as I try and find some battles, is that even with this many drivers, everyone seemed to have found themselves at this point with actually a fair bit of space.
How's that possible?
I mean, pit stops are certainly playing into it a little bit, so there's a few drivers yet to complete theirs. But
I would like to point out that the Jaguar is currently leading. I know
Yeah,
it's not
but
actually
they
running
haven't
on track,
pit yet. Yeah.
but still, it's nice to see a Jaguar where it doesn't belong.
Yes, where it does. That's exactly right.
that's fair. So let's give him his moment. Bryce Meddings.
He's being caught by Jacobs.
He's, but
He's got a pit now, doesn't he?
No,
Yeah.
he does, right? So he got his moment. It wasn't much of one, but he got it. There you go. Enjoy it. Yeah, the Jag, I think, more of a fun car, and if you're very, very quick, then you can make it work.
Fun isn't necessarily the word I would use, but okay.
No. Yeah.
It's a car.
Some people enjoy it, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? They like the idea. Like pineapple on pizza.
Yeah, it's like they like the idea of saying, I drive the Jag. But they're internally they're like, this is a shitbox. I really don't want to drive it.
I think the Jag is more state of mind than it is a car.
Yeah. It's a state of emotional mindfulness, and it's great. But until you physically experience it, once you physically experience it, it's no. You say no.
Let's see. I can see Chariot has managed to pick himself up a drive through. I assume again track limits.
Yeah, track limits are claiming their victims this evening, and looks like Girardi may claim his victim. Pete Viney slowly catching him, especially through Sector 3. The Honda is not very good. Well, that's just an Audi in the wall, isn't it? Has Audi tings occurred? I think they may have.
I suspect so. Cast your votes now as to what's about to happen, but I think we've all got a pretty good idea.
Broke fine.
It's the curb.
It's a fair amount of curb. Has he lost it on the air? Yep. That's it. If he'd been on the brakes earlier, I reckon he might have been able to save that. Oh, wow.
Very
Kicked
well
it out of the
avoided.
wall.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. That's just one of those things with the Audi. That curb hit it wrong. Does not agree with the car at all. And he's got a 15 second as well. So he's really not in a good position at the moment, unfortunately. So that'll put him back. No positions at the moment if that gap there stays the same. Smith, though, still catching Jacobs, who, if he doesn't get a promotion after this race, I think there's something wrong. But he's
Washington closed up a little bit on Gibbons as well. Gap down to
Indeed.
1.2 now.
He'll be looking for that position. Gibbo will be doing his best. Has lost out, I dare say, maybe a second and a bit. Second, nearly 2 seconds from Smith in the past 5 to 7 minutes or so. So I think he's in his own little world at the moment, just trying to keep himself from Washington, who's going to have him on the straight with the top speed. That's where he'll gain most of his time.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at the lap time deltas. And there's a convergence. So Smith on Jacobs last lap, he pulled 6/10 out of him. There's a big old gap coming down, and we see it there. So he's just got this BMW to get through, which is blue flag.
So BMW needs to get out of the way. It doesn't impede.
On the other side of the coin, though, Washington, as JP pointed out, closing up very quickly on Gibbons, but Baldwin is also closing that gap as well. So I'm starting to get my answer. Was it that Baldwin was being kept in it by the toe, or Washington was being kept in it by the power? And it looks more like it's Washington by the power. So we'll see how that progresses. I don't think it's going to take too long before it all starts to play out. McIntosh certainly falling back behind Baldwin.
I think it's fairly safe to say that Samwise's gamble on the early pit stop didn't quite work out as planned, so he's lost 2 positions on track.
It's one of those ones, it's the what ifs, because I do feel like the car certainly struggles actually racing.
That's not a good problem for a racing car to have.
No, it's a concern. Because certainly I think a lot of the overtakes that we see here are exactly as you expect there at the Mistral Straight. So you can be great in the slower sectors, but it's also harder to really get some good overtaking opportunities, especially as you start to hit drivers who are very close to you in terms of speed and ability. So that's where the Mercedes can struggle a little bit more. For the moment...
Washington now half a second behind Gibbons.
Yeah, very good point. Gibbons may be held up a little bit with the blue flag BMW, but he has some strong concerns now with a non-blue flagged BMW. They're closing him at a rate of knots. And Baldwin falling a little bit further behind actually in that last one. Oh, it's about line ball. It's about line ball. So, it's a struggle
If
as
you
well.
can stay this close, it's going to be an interesting Mistral.
Yeah, if you're Gibbons, what have you really got? You've got to hold off, what, maybe 7 more laps? 8? 8 would be about right. What kind of bag of tricks have you got to hold off that BMW? I mean, you can try and really compromise his line coming through Decamp, but it's tricky. It's going to be about all he can pull here, I think, because what we've seen the McLarens hit. Oh, they hit the kind of high 270s. So only a couple of k an hour difference. It's gonna be
I think the biggest benefit of the McLaren is just putting down the power before. But the BMW seemed like it got a fairly good run out of there, so this is going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, you're not wrong. So the gap briefly touched 7/10 between the two of them.
Oh, look
Watching
at that
it
BMW power. What he's going to have to go for the inside though, Gibbo. He's going to defend that with his life. That BMW though, what is this? What? That's disgusting. But yeah, he's out of the slipstream. Washington's going to be forced to go around the outside. Does get it done though. What a move. I think Gibbo might have been a little bit cautious there, but that's understandable. It's a really tough corner there. But Washington's gotten past, and now he's up into that podium position. But I know Gibbo will not let that position go away easily.
So that was basically a 6/10 gain over a single straight. And there's just not much you can do. If you're Gibbons, well, not much you can do within the rules, I guess. So, and I'm not recommending that you find any alternate methods. So, question will be, can he stay in it and maybe have a run back? Because I don't think the McLaren really lacks for top end speed, and it's with a toe, as long as he can carry the speed through, he might be able to come back at him. All the while, I think this is actually this potentially plays really nicely into Baldwin's hands. If they're scrapping,
Baldwin is definitely wrapping. He's looking at this, licking his lips at the moment, hoping for a little bit more of a battle in front there.
Yeah, and I think JP, your point regarding Holmes is starting to really come through. His tyres are dying the death. 157 in the last lap. He's now dropped to P10 behind Raschuti. And has fallen well behind Misson. So here we go. Gibbons. Let's get in. Center at the bottom, you can see his speed. I can tell you right now, the delta is opening up.
I don't think he's close enough to get the toe properly.
No, it's 7 tenths. So you get a bit of it. Less than you'd like. But he's carrying a reasonable line through. It's not like Washington's able to walk away from him. Indeed, Baldwin, 1.3. So we'll see how it comes through. Dowd pointing out in chat, still have to get the BMW around the rest of the lap, and that is a challenge. You can be really good in one part and rubbish in the others. Question is, where is his strengths? So Zach Smith v Jacobs. I can see Jacobs has responded, picked up his lap time a little bit. So Smith last lap catching him by 2 tenths, and indeed actually doing a purple sector 3 with 50.262, which is a good, I want to say 3 tenths faster than anyone else on that lap. So,
Floyd also closed up right to the back of Misson at the moment, so he's made up quite a few seconds as well.
That's a good point. Let's have a little bit of a look there. This will be a very interesting Mistral as well.
He's going to have a very hard time getting that Merc past the GTR on the straight.
That's for sure. But maybe he can get a very nice toe. Assume ACC's pretty good with the simming, and that Nissan is very large, so the hole it pokes in the air. Rim is bigger than normal. Is that Washington around? Surely not. Surely not. No, it's not. Okay. We don't fret. So let's have a look at this, and then I'll jump back. I saw a BMW a bit sideways, and I was worried. Gibbons getting a much better run this time on Washington. You can see the difference actually there as they come through that split. 3 tenths closer than what he was last time. So the suck zone is much larger. Is much stronger the closer he gets in. Baldwin does fall back 2 tenths, so he's out of that, so he needs to get himself in it. I did say that I was going to catch Floyd v. Misson. Here it is. They're getting past that blue flagged BMW. Maybe blue flagged BMW's holding on. But he looks a bit closer, so maybe. I wonder as well. I'm surprised actually at how close he's been able to stick to that Nissan by the end of that straight. Maybe just add some spice. Is Misson just leaning out on a little bit of fuel just to make sure he's got enough to get to the end, and that's why he doesn't. This Merc is catching him a bit faster than he'd like. Given that his last lap was 1:44.9, I'm going to say not. But you know.
Yeah, Misson just has to place that car in the right spot. I don't think there's any way the Merc is going to get past him on the straight.
You're probably right.
So it might be a frustrating last 9 minutes for Floyd here.
That's it. Now I think Smith has just made a mistake because for a moment I think I saw that he was within a tenth. Sorry, not within a tenth, within a second. Now it's back out to 1.5, so I'm not sure. Let's get another look at this run. It's Gibbons again. Get that speed up. Three tenths, I think, is the current delta. 4 tenths. So you can hold on. You can see that BMW actually just getting a little bit squirrely through some of these wide braking zones. 2 different blue flag cars ahead of them. Not sure if they're scrapping themselves. based on the way they're driving, I suspect that they are. That might make it tricky for Washington to get through. They do both part ways and let them in. Does this open up a door for Baldwin as well to maybe get an easier run through? And I think he has.
It's always one of the most worrying sights when you're lapping somebody and they're battling with one or two other cars. Because you know that the odds of getting a good, clean run through, especially when you're battling as well, it's always a bit of a stressful proposition.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Question in chat by King Hunter. Current fastest lap time in the race is a 1:48.1. That is by Sean Jacobs, who's in the lead. Sorry, 1:54. What on earth was I saying? 1:54.1. Touch under it, actually.
That would have been very impressive if that was correct, though.
That's it. See, Zach Smith is actually... I'm sure it said 7/10 for a moment there until we got to the sector update. He's going to power pass a blue flag car. Gibbons this time. Coming in through the last sector with 6/10, and now Baldwin is in. And this, I think, player 3 has entered this game.
What you'll see down the straight now is just the BMW and the McLaren driving away from it.
He'll get a little bit of extra tow though, I think, won't he? So I'm not sure that the McLaren's that fast. Because I think the tow certainly gets stronger if you've got a couple of cars ahead. But you're right, he has opened up. It's not a huge gap, maybe an extra car length, but the McLaren did go away.
What we just saw on the onboard on the McLaren was 281 down the straight, 282.
Yes, that's a good point. We've seen the Bentleys only hit 279 with the tows. But still, there's opportunity, and maybe with a slightly better exit, you can get something happening. Again, Zach Smith within a second.
Quite a lot of traffic coming up here also, so this could get very spicy in the last 5 minutes.
That's it. Holmes as well continuing to fall back, just been overtaken by Sassano. Now has a 6-second gap to Zenshin behind him, but how long will that last? So Smith as well inside that 1 second mark. I think he's really been struggling with Sector 1. Indeed he has. Last lap he lost half a second in Sector 1. So he's gaining it all later, and again, that is where Sean Jacobs is absolutely powering out. Okay, blue flagged. McLaren staying right out of the way. Let's have a look maybe from Baldwin's perspective this time.
Now, Bentley's going to need all the straight line it can get now, even though we know it tops out at 279 max with that slipstream. So Baldwin's going to need to absolutely stretch that as much as he can, but it's going to be a tough one. Gibbo does have that slipstream on Washington. Isn't really doing much though because of BMW power.
Even then, only 275, and that was with a big old tow. So maybe just didn't quite get the exit of the preceding corners that he wanted, given that there was some blue flag incidents. But I'm keeping an eye on this Zach Smith v Sean Jacobs. I mean, we're coming into the final laps. He's getting so close, but his Sector 1 is absolutely killing him, Smith. He's quite a lot slower, actually, than everyone else. Everyone else, even these boys, are doing 31.5, 31.6, 31.5 in Sector 1. Smith, a couple of laps now, it's been a 32.
Yeah, it could just be the tyres dropping off, potentially just driving it a little bit too hard. He's just done a 54.7, which is a very good lap indeed. Let's just have a look what he's potentially doing wrong.
Did he touch too much curb there?
I can touch probably as much curb as you want in the front engine cars, but let's just see. That's where he's losing a little bit of time. The run through there, I think he's running a bit wide into there, and then he's looking fairly decent everywhere else. It might just be that second chicane where he's losing a little bit of time. Didn't look like he got on the power as early as he could have there. Could just be loss of grip. So see if he can close that gap.
It wasn't too bad. There was a 31.8, so he's picked up a little bit more, but Jacob's 31.4. It's Sector 1 is where this P1 is really going to be make or break. Baldwin this time much closer to Gibbons. Close enough that he's having a half think already. Still got a bit more to go.
Can he get it done though? Just wait for that McLaren. That Bentley's going to top out. There it is. 276 this time. Bentley really just lets you down at the end of the straight. So,
Just sad Bentley noises, really.
yeah, it's I'm sure you as a Bentley driver just sitting there crying internally seeing that.
I'm thinking that Jake probably added maybe an extra click of wing or something, because he's definitely a little bit down on what you can get in the Bentley down the straight.
Yeah,
So I'm not sure if he's maybe sacrificed a bit for the first and last sector.
Yeah, maybe he's just trying to get that extra stability and time out of the first and last sector, but it's not really paying off at the moment. Does get a little bit of a better exit, but this is what Washington wants. He's pulling away from Gibbo now. Let's just have a look. Zach Smith is he's only pulled about a 10th in, closer to Jacobs. I don't think quite on the final lap yet. Could be, unless I heard otherwise.
No,
To
I
wait
think
and
one
see.
more.
One more. Sounds like a plan, Stan. So we'll see now. It's going to come down to these. Well,
Oh,
Washington's
no.
gone. Wow. What on earth has just happened there?
F in chat, Washington.
Yeah, massive F. Just completely lost it on the braking.
Too much brakes
What?
on the front, and he's just pulled it around.
Wow.
Very weird incident.
Leaders on final lap now.
There we go. Leader is on the final lap. So that's a bit of spice. Now, fortunately for Washington, it's only cost him 2 places, but could have been much, much worse. This one, however, just got there, and you can see that difference. Smith still not the hottest of Sector 1, 31.7, onto Jacobs 31.4, but as soon as he got in the toe... Oh, he's ahead! Hang on.
He is indeed. I wonder what's happened there. Let's have a look. Just got him on the straight around the outside of... Oh, that's a ballsy move. Forced Jacobs to the outside. That's well played. Oh, a bit of a tap too.
Nothing too severe.
That's very well driven there. Basically forced Jacobs out wide. That was very well done.
I think...
Now someone's saying it was a lapped car. No, I don't think it was.
No, that is Sean Jacobs that he has overtaken.
Yeah, and he's finished the race.
And
he's won.
Race is done. And
Very
then-
well done.
That overtake much better.
Yeah, well done to Gibbo though. Unfortunate for Washington, but Gibbo did get that podium after all that. Only 3/10 behind. There's Baldwin. Washington, then McIntosh, what a race. Sam Misson, very good race indeed. P7 there for the Pro class. P1 in the Pro class. Floyd there. Rashuti, P9. Sassano there in P10. Samwise after that really early pit. P11, so lost out 2 overall from his starting position at the race. So he's done well, but I think that early pit may have just cost him a little bit too much, unfortunately. And there's Washington in chat, just has really got nothing to say about that one.
That's it. As you see, I was just trying to see if there was anything left that he could do here, although this one's very tight right to the end. So this is Johnson leading led by not much at all. And Meddings watching behind in P19. And there is 40 odd cars, not including a safety car. So they're still in the top half.
Wow.
We've still got a few left to go.
Got two people in chat spewing. Jeremy saying that he's going to throw his rig out the window, and Baldwin saying there's no way there was not another lap. Yeah, welcome to Sprint Series. Are you new?
It was very, very tight right to the end. I mean, Smith was not easing up, that's for sure. But there you go. That's the final results there. So Washington's dropped down to P8 after that penalty. Holmes,
Yep, Sam
depending on that
was.
too, not a good strategy. Look,
Yeah,
I
no,
thought
it's
it might
not.
have been. Well, I think there's the what might have been. And the question is, how many
Green light.
would he have
Green
lost
light,
a bunch of positions just not having the pace down this trial? Who knows? But
Nothing ventured, nothing gained, so it was worth a shot.
you're absolutely right. I think it actually might not have been a terrible idea. Maybe not lap 2 though. Maybe give it like 10 or something. Either way, I think Scott Hall's point there, nice move by Smith to take the lead on the last lap. That's what we'd love to see, and we did get to catch it on the replay, so there's some fine moves. But gentlemen, that has been a fantastic evening, and that is probably about enough for me. Any highlights before we wrap it up?
Oh, I think that overtake, the final lap between Smith and Jacobs, that was well played. We've seen a lot of good around the outside overtakes around that right hand at the end of Mistral. I think those are just ones that you can't forget. And then that win from Brett, that was what a drive.
Yeah, very well done. JP, anything stand out for you?
Well, I mean, yeah, the last lap overtake is definitely a fantastic way to seal a win. And yeah, I think just overall, it was a better, for me personally, it looked like a better week than last week in terms of the incidents and just the closeness of the racing. So no, I'd say all 4 races was a highlight for me, to be honest.
Yeah, fantastic. No, I think that's a good way to sum it up. It's getting better week by week, and 40 odd drivers. That adds for some excitement. But for us, I think that's enough for the evening. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you everyone for being here. I hope you all enjoyed it. Smash that like and subscribe and all that jazz. And we will see you back next week for this time zone. But don't forget about the NA and the EUs if those time zones are convenient for you. Thank you very much once again, and we'll catch you next time.
See ya.
Thank you, guys.